Chapter 1585. The golden dragon looked at Tang Zheng in a daze, as if he was listening to a fantasy story. He asked in disbelief, "Is there really an advanced version of the dragon god's secret art?" Tang Zheng looked at him and nodded heavily, "Of course. Moreover, I have already cultivated it. After my personal experience, this advanced version will make a qualitative leap in my cultivation." "What kind of leap?" the golden dragon asked curiously. Tang Zheng was not in a hurry to answer. Instead, he stretched out his hand and with a flash of golden light, a nine-clawed little golden dragon appeared in his palm. The golden dragon exclaimed as he stared straight at the little golden dragon. Then, he looked up at Tang Zheng and asked, "Is this the golden dragon in your dragon seal?" Tang Zheng nodded gently. "How is this possible?" the golden dragon exclaimed again, his face full of disbelief. He blurted out, "How can the golden dragon and the dragon seal leave your body?" The dragon clan's dragon seal always had a golden dragon, but that golden dragon could not leave the body at all. Just like Tang Zheng, it could only lie quietly in his palm. "Look a little more carefully." Tang Zheng was not in a hurry to explain. Instead, he pointed out. "Huh." The golden dragon suppressed his surprise and locked his eyes on the nine-clawed little golden dragon. Suddenly, his pupils shrank and his mouth opened wide. He pointed at the nine-clawed little golden dragon's head and sucked in a breath of cold air. "How can this be? How can there be dragon horns on its head?" Tang Zheng smiled slightly. He deliberately let the golden dragon look at the dragon horns. After all, the dragon horns were too special. He couldn't explain why, so he naturally wanted to get an answer from the golden dragon's mouth. "You also know dragon horns?" The golden dragon nodded resentfully, "Of course I know. Once the dragon clan grows dragon horns, their strength will increase by leaps and bounds. The dragon clan with dragon horns is an absolute powerhouse." Tang Zheng nodded thoughtfully and asked, "How can I cultivate dragon horns?" The golden dragon looked at him in disbelief, as if to say, "Didn't you already cultivate dragon horns? Why are you asking me this question?" Suddenly, he had an idea and asked, "Could it be that dragon horns are related to the advanced version of the dragon god's secret art?" Tang Zheng's expression was dignified as he said calmly, "Golden dragon, it was an accident that I grew dragon horns. I don't know the specific reason." Since the golden dragon did not know the inside story, he stopped the topic and changed the topic. "But the advanced version of the dragon god's secret art can make the golden dragon seal leave its body. You know what this means, right?" "This means that my combat strength." The golden dragon muttered. "Smart, Tang Zheng, Yuanying, dragon, secret art, dragon. To dragon, art, dragon, art, form dragon." The dragon race was indeed a powerful race. They actually had such divine abilities. No wonder they could be so high and mighty. The other races couldn't compete with them. The golden dragon's eyes gradually revealed a look of pleasant surprise. He had already understood and could not wait to ask, "Are you saying that once I cultivate the advanced version of the dragon god technique, the dragon clan will have double the strength?" "It's possible. It's not that there will be such a result." Tang Zheng corrected him and pointed to his nine-clawed little golden dragon, saying, "It's still very weak right now. It needs time to reach a higher realm in the dragon god's secret art before it can truly display its power." Even so, the golden dragon was completely shocked by this news. He stared blankly at the nine-clawed little golden dragon and couldn't help but reveal a look of envy. If he could also cultivate the advanced version of the dragon god's secret art, wouldn't his strength also increase by leaps and bounds? Tang Zheng smiled as if he had seen through his thoughts. He pointed his finger at the golden dragon and a beam of golden light shot out from his fingertip. Puff! The golden light silently disappeared from the golden dragon's forehead. It was as if he was struck by lightning as his eyes became sluggish. After a few seconds, ecstasy filled his face. Advanced version of the dragon god's secret art. He opened his mouth wide and cried out in surprise, unable to close it again. Tang Jing actually directly passed this divine ability to him. He roughly skimmed through it and saw the true appearance. Only then did he understand the power of the advanced version. This could completely overturn the Dragon Clan's current weak position. Once the Dragon Clan cultivated the advanced version, their strength would increase by leaps and bounds. In the future, defeating the Dragon Slayer would not be a pipe dream. The others were confused when they heard this. They didn't quite understand the Golden Dragon's feelings, so they all opened their eyes wide and looked at Tang Zheng and the Golden Dragon. Tang Zheng looked at the Golden Dragon with a smile, waiting for him to digest all of this. After a long time, he seemed to have really digested it, but he looked at Tang Zheng with an even more complicated expression and said, "Master, you're too good to me. This is what I should do. Back then, you submitted to me, so I will naturally be responsible for you to the end." Tang Zheng said calmly. The Golden Dragon was extremely happy. Fortunately, Tang Zheng used strong methods to force him to submit. He was unwilling and wanted to resist. He really didn't know the immensity of heaven and earth and didn't know how lucky he was. Thousands of words were stuck in the Golden Dragon's chest, and he was unable to speak for a long time. The advanced version of the Dragon God technique has a total of 9 levels, which are 9 new levels added to the original foundation. Although you haven't cultivated the basic version of the Dragon God technique to the peak, once you have the advanced version, both sides will strengthen each other. I believe that it won't be long before you cultivate the basic version of the Dragon God technique to the peak. Then, you can cultivate the advanced version. Tang Zheng introduced. The Golden Dragon nodded heavily. Of course, he understood all of this. When he browsed through the advanced version, he already had a deeper understanding of the basic version. He looked at Tang Zheng curiously and asked, "Master, what realm have you cultivated to?" "The first level of the advanced version." Tang Zheng said lightly. It took him 2 days to finally break through to this realm after coming out of the Langya Pavilion. This was already a rocket-like speed. The Golden Dragon was dumbfounded, and his jaw almost fell to the ground. Back then, he was the one who taught the Dragon God technique to Tang Zheng. He didn't expect that the latter would catch up and soar all the way, leaving him far behind. He was not envious, jealous, or resentful. He was sincerely convinced. Fang Shishir and the others were confused. They finally understood that Tang Zheng had a new harvest. They were all overjoyed and looked at him happily. Tang Zheng's mood was not as relaxed. Although his strength had increased, the pressure had also increased. In particular, the news about the Dragon Slayer was like a huge rock that pressed heavily on his heart. However, he did not immediately show it to avoid worrying the others. The family was happy and harmonious, and they did not notice Tang Zheng's abnormality at all. Only the Golden Dragon looked at Tang Zheng deeply and seemed to be deep in thought. As the sun set, Tang Zheng and the Golden Dragon found a secluded corner where no one was around. "Master, is there anything else?" The Golden Dragon asked with a heavy heart. "Golden Dragon, let's talk about your harvest first." Tang Zheng was not in a hurry to say. Instead, he asked. "You went to look for the Dragon Clan's base camp and the Dragon King. Did you find them?" Chapter 1586. The Golden Dragon said tirelessly, "I left this world and used the special senses of the dragon race. After going through many places, I finally found the base camp of the dragon race. The dragon race was born to be able to travel through space, especially when there was a special connection between the dragon race as a guide. This kind of travel was especially easy. The Golden Dragon was not very proficient in the laws of space, but he still used this method to successfully travel through space. After a few twists and turns, he finally found the base camp of the dragon race." Hearing this, Tang Zheng raised his eyebrows, unable to hide his surprise, and urged, "What kind of world is the base camp of the dragon race?" The Golden Dragon's eyes became dim. He shook his head and said, "It's far from what I expected." "What do you mean?" Tang Zheng was very curious. The Golden Dragon let out a long sigh, and said, "After experiencing the pursuit of the dragon slayers everywhere, the dragon race has long been scattered in various worlds, and I was really lucky to find the dragon race's base camp. However, the base camp has also moved through many worlds, and it no longer has the glory of the dragon race. As for its overall strength, it has long been lost. Tang Zheng's eyes darkened with disappointment. The dragon race had actually declined to such a state, he never would have thought. The threat and influence of the dragon slayers on the dragon race was too great. Then did you see the Dragon King? Tang Zheng asked. The golden dragon stammered, I did see him, but I didn't say much to the Dragon King. Oh, why? Tang Zheng was puzzled. The golden dragon said resentfully, I told the Dragon King about the situation of this world, especially about the dragon slayers, but the Dragon King and the other dragons did not believe me. They did not think that we could kill the dragon slayers, and thought that I was lying. My saliva was dry, and my lips were sore, but no dragon race believed me. This experience made the golden dragon very angry. His clansmen actually did not believe him, which deeply hurt him. This was clearly because they did not believe in his strength, and did not think that he could kill the dragon slayers. As for the matter about Tang Zheng that the golden dragon had told him, it was even dismissed as a fantasy by the dragon race. They thought that he had made it up, and did not believe him at all. Tang Zheng didn't expect this to happen either. He asked curiously, why are the dragons so short-sighted? Even his own clansmen didn't believe it. What happened after that? Later, when I saw that no one believed me, I was worried that Master would be anxious, so I came back alone. Anyway, they won't care whether I leave or not. The golden dragon was very disappointed. He thought that he had found his clansmen, which was equivalent to returning to the embrace of his clansmen. He didn't expect that he would be more valued by Tang Zheng. Tang Zheng pondered for a long time before shaking his head. The decline of the dragon race was not without reason. The sun was already setting, yet they still did not believe in their own race. What kind of unity was this? Perhaps there were many conflicts within the dragon clan, and they could not unite to fight against the dragon slayers. Golden Dragon, there's something I've always wanted to tell you, but I haven't had the right opportunity. Now, I've decided to tell you everything, Tang Zheng said after some consideration. The golden dragon was immediately attracted. He looked at Tang Zheng in surprise, not knowing what else he was hiding from him. Have you never thought about what the foggy world outside Langya Pavilion is? I know you've always been thinking about the Dragon Clan's ban and didn't dare to explore it. But there was one time when I couldn't hold back my curiosity and entered that foggy world. Hearing Tang Zheng's words, the golden dragon jumped up and shouted, What? You actually went there? How could you go there? But just as he finished speaking, he stopped and said embarrassedly, Master, I'm not blaming you. It's just that this is a ban passed down from generation to generation in the Dragon Clan, so, Tang Zheng waved his hand, understanding his thoughts, and said, I understand what you mean. But I cultivated the dragon god technique halfway, so I don't have as many restrictions in my heart as the other dragons. So, I went to explore out of curiosity, and this made me a huge discovery. Tang Zheng told him about the inverted Langya Pavilion and those dragon souls. The golden dragon's reaction was very wonderful. First, he was shocked, then he became numb. Like a wooden person, he looked at Tang Zheng without moving. He was already dizzy from the heavy news one after another, and his brain lost the ability to think. The inverted Langya Pavilion, the Dragon Clan's graveyard, the dragon souls, and that Dragon Clan elder, each and every one of these news completely overturned the Golden Dragon's understanding. It turned out that the Dragon Clan's adherence to the ban for generations was actually wrong. Not a single dragon dared to break the old rules and discover the true secret. He couldn't help but look at Tang Zheng enviously. He thought to himself that the heavens had blessed him and allowed his master to discover this by chance. Otherwise, the Dragon Clan would continue to be kept in the dark. The Golden Dragon didn't sigh for too long because Tang Zheng's next words once again attracted all his attention, causing his heart to fiercely clench. The Dragon Slayer had actually appeared in the Dragon Seal world. This was the Dragon Clan's final secret, but it was still discovered by the Dragon Slayer. Once they absorbed those dragon souls, the Golden Dragon was very clear about what would happen. He swallowed his saliva and looked at Tang Jing eagerly, impatient to know the answer. Looking at his blazing eyes, Tang Jing guessed his thoughts and hurriedly told the golden dragon about how he had eliminated the dragon slayer twice. The golden dragon patted his chest and heaved a sigh of relief with lingering fear. He looked at Tang Jing gratefully and said, "Master, this is all thanks to you. Without you, the dragon clan would have really fallen into a state of eternal damnation. I'm now a member of the dragon clan, this is what I should do. But there's one thing you definitely won't guess, and that's the origin of the dragon slayer." Immediately, the golden dragon concentrated and raised his attention to 120%. He really didn't know the inside story about the origin of the dragon slayer. Naturally, he was very interested in this topic. But after that, his heart felt like it was on a roller coaster, rising and falling along with Tang Zhang's cadence. His face turned pale for a moment, then shocked for a moment, then ashamed for a moment. In short, he had lived for so many years, but he had never felt as complicated as this moment. After Tang Jing finished speaking, he still hadn't come back to his senses. His gaze was sluggish as he stared blankly at the sunset that had already sunk below the horizon. "This is all history, you don't have to think too much about it." Tang Jing patted his shoulder and comforted him. Chapter 1587. Tang Jing could understand the golden dragon's feelings. After all, the golden dragon was a real dragon, and its feelings for the dragon race were naturally far deeper than Tang Jing's. Now, the golden dragon discovered that his understanding of the dragon race had been turned upside down. The dragon slayer that he had always regarded as his mortal enemy was actually also a dragon, and a traitor of the dragon race who had killed the dragon god. Dragon god. What a great title this was. But in the current dragon race, there were probably very few who knew about it. At least, an ordinary dragon like him definitely did not know about it. "Master, are you saying that you only knew about the advanced version of the dragon god method after absorbing the dragon god fragment? Doesn't that mean that there are many other unknown secrets in the other dragon god fragments, and even divine abilities?" The golden dragon hesitated for a moment and said in shock. This possibility made his heart surge uncontrollably. Tang Jing had also thought about this question, so he directly nodded and gave him a definite answer. "Your deduction is correct, that is indeed the case." "Then how can I obtain the other dragon god fragments?" the golden dragon asked impatiently. Tang Jing had never taken the dragon god fragment for himself and regarded it as his own personal belongings, so he said straightforwardly, "Once your advanced version of the dragon god method reaches the corresponding realm, you should be able to ascend to a higher floor, and there will definitely be other dragon god fragments hidden above." The golden dragon's eyes immediately lit up, but immediately dimmed again. He shook his head and said, "The dragon god's fragment is a fragment of the dragon clan's ancestor. How can we, the descendants, blaspheme the dragon god's fragment? It's even more impossible for us to have the thought of taking the dragon god's fragment for ourselves. That's completely disrespectful to the dragon god." Tang Jing looked at the golden dragon in approval. If it wasn't for a coincidence, he definitely wouldn't have taken the initiative to absorb the dragon god's fragments. He, a halfway dragon, was already so respectful, let alone the other dragon clans. The golden dragon's reaction was within his expectations. "You're right. In order to protect these dragon god fragments, we still have a lot of work to do. First, we have to surround and intercept the dragon slayer and not let them have the chance to enter again. Even if they enter, we have to have a way to snipe them," Tang Jing said in a deep voice. The golden dragon nodded in agreement and said, "I'll listen to Master, but what should we do next?" Tang Jing knew that the situation was very dangerous and he had to race against time. After all, he could not predict when the dragon slayer would enter the Langya pavilion again. Since he had been ejected from the Langya pavilion, he would not be able to enter again for a period of time. Even if he sensed that the dragon slayer had entered the Langya pavilion in the future, he would not be able to stop him. As for the golden dragon, he alone was no match for the dragon slayer. Therefore, they needed to find more helpers. Even if the dragon slayers launched a large-scale attack, they could gather their strength and have the power to fight back. Since you've already found the Dragon Clan's base camp and the Dragon King, then we have to go and meet them. Gather the power of all the Dragon Clan and use this opportunity to stop the Dragon Slayer, and even make a beautiful comeback." Tang Zheng waved his fist a few times and said excitedly. The golden dragon's eyes lit up, and it said excitedly, "Master's words make sense. I had no proof, and the Dragon King did not believe me. But after he saw Master, he knew that everything I said was true." Tang Zheng thought for a while and nodded in agreement, admitting that the golden dragon's words made sense. "There's no time to lose, then we'll go to the Dragon Clan's base camp immediately," Tang Zheng said impatiently. This was the most urgent matter, and it could not be delayed. This time, Tang Zheng did not tell the truth in order to prevent others from worrying. He only gave some instructions to his family and then left with the golden dragon. Above the 9 heavens, where the spatial restriction was the weakest, Tang Zheng and the golden dragon stood in the air, and a strong wind blew, messing up their clothes. Tang Zheng took a deep breath and nodded at the golden dragon with a serious expression, saying, "Let's begin." The golden dragon's body shone with golden light, and with a shake of his body, he transformed into a true dragon. The golden light emitted from his body dyed half the sky golden. Fortunately, they were too far away from the ground, otherwise the people on the ground would definitely see this scene. The golden dragon clawed at the void, and with a crackling sound, the air was torn apart, trembling violently as if the sky was about to collapse. The air violently shook, and cracks slowly appeared in the sky. Tang Zheng watched this scene without saying a word. He was well versed in the mysteries of crossing space, so he could see at a glance that the golden dragon's ability to cross space was inferior to his. If it weren't for the Dragon Clan's special senses, he definitely would not have been able to cross space so easily. A black spatial door gradually opened in front of him, and a gust of wind poured into the spatial door from all directions. The golden dragon stopped, turned its head to look at Tang Zheng, and said respectfully, "Master, the spatial door has been opened, please enter." Tang Zheng stepped in with large strides, and the golden dragon's figure flashed, disappearing behind the door. In the next second, the spatial door completely closed, and the sky returned to normal. Because of the difference in cultivation, the golden dragon's control of spatial principles was not as good as Tang Zheng's, so it was naturally unable to control the spatial door with ease. Tang Zheng calmly followed the golden dragon's footsteps, quietly arriving at a place where another spatial door appeared in front of them. This time, the golden dragon took the lead to step out, deeply afraid that there would be some danger outside that would harm Tang Zheng. Tang Zheng followed the golden dragon's footsteps and also stepped out of the spatial door, ignoring the spatial door quietly closing behind him. He was completely shocked by the scene in front of him. What kind of world was this? This was a world of water, and as far as the eye could see, it was all water, and there was almost no end in sight. He was sure that no ocean he had ever seen could compare to what was in front of him. It was really too big, and he even thought that there was no land in this world. "Master, welcome to the Dragon Clan's headquarters, the Dragon Realm." The golden dragon returned to its human form again, reaching out to grasp the world in front of it, and explained with a smile. "Dragon Realm." Tang Zheng subconsciously repeated it, unable to hide his astonishment. He raised his eyes and looked around, looking into the distance, and was even more deeply shocked. After a long time, he could not help but sigh with emotion. The Dragon Clan is truly a powerful race. A proud expression appeared on the golden dragon's face, and it said, "Master is also a member of the Dragon Clan, so this is our shared pride." A starving camel is still bigger than a horse. Tang Zheng truly understood the essence of this sentence. The Dragon Clan had declined compared to before, but it was still beyond the reach of many other clans, especially the human world. Although their technology was advanced, they still had no chance of winning against the Dragon Clan. Suddenly, a golden light flickered on the horizon and flew towards them. Chapter 1588. The monstrous wave arrived in the blink of an eye, and the violent wind made it hard for people to open their eyes. Tang Zheng calmly looked at the incoming wave, as if he didn't care at all. He could summon clouds and summon rain, so he naturally wasn't afraid of this so-called wave. Rumble. The sound of the wave was deafening, as if it was going to scare people out of their wits. The golden dragon hurriedly stepped forward, but Tang Zheng was faster than him, his finger gently pointing at the wave. Crash. The huge wave came to an abrupt stop, frozen in midair. After a few seconds, it fell back into the sea like a heavy downpour. Then, a golden light appeared from behind the huge wave, and a golden dragon flickered with golden light. It was majestic, as if it was looking down on the world, shaking its head and wagging its tail, looking down at Tang Zheng from above. How dare you? Tell me your name, who is it that dares to trespass into the dragon domain? The other party shouted in a stern voice. Tang Zheng was in human form, and he had deliberately restrained his dragon aura, so the other party couldn't tell that he was also a dragon. This time, there was no need for Tang Zheng to respond. The golden dragon had already rushed out and stood in front of Tang Zheng to protect him. Although he was also in human form, his entire body was emitting a strong dragon aura, so the other party could tell at a glance that he was of the same kind. You're not allowed to speak to my master with such an attitude. The golden dragon retorted unhappily. Master? The other party was obviously stunned for a moment, then he stretched out his golden dragon claw and pointed at the golden dragon, saying, You actually called him master? The dragon race has always been high and mighty, how can you recognize someone as your master? Do you still remember your identity as a dragon? The last time the golden dragon came to the dragon domain, he didn't mention that he recognized Tang Zheng as his master. Moreover, the number of dragons he had seen was very limited, and he had never met this one before, so he naturally didn't know him. However, the golden dragon still said in a neither servile nor overbearing manner, This is my business, you don't need to say anything. How dare you? You dare to quibble after doing such a thing that is against the divine might of the dragon clan? How dare you talk to me with such an attitude? I'll take you down first and ask the Dragon King to punish you. The other party scolded loudly and aggressively. He swung his dragon tail and swept it towards the golden dragon. Looking at this scene, Tang Zheng frowned. He came to the dragon domain for an important matter, but this stupid dragon did not ask for the truth and started a fight. It was really out of his expectations. Moreover, the golden dragon had recognized him as its master, so it was time for him to take action. He took a step forward. It seemed like a small step, but he had already blocked the golden dragon behind him to prevent it from being injured by his opponent. Master! The golden dragon cried out anxiously. At this time, it should share the burden of its master. How could it let its master take the risk and do it himself? However, Tang Zheng decided to end the battle. He did not give the golden dragon a chance to fight. He reached out his hand and grabbed the dragon tail that was sweeping toward him. Tang Zheng's eyes were firmly locked onto the dragon's tail. His palms suddenly transformed and emitted a golden light. Bang! With a loud sound, the dragon's tail fell into Tang Zheng's palm and he caught it firmly. Roar! A dragon's roar resounded through the heavens and earth, as if it was about to set off a huge wave. Tang Zheng looked at the other side calmly and said, We haven't even spoken a few words, and you want to catch the golden dragon and denounce him. Ha, you think too much of yourself. Who are you? How dare you come to the dragon domain and behave so atrociously? Aren't you afraid of death? The other side had not yet realized the situation he was in and scolded relentlessly. Behave atrociously? Your words are really good. I think you're the one who's behaving atrociously. We didn't do anything, but you attacked. Are all dragons so arrogant? If that's the case, why have you been hunted down by the dragon slayers all these years? Tang Zheng asked jokingly, not putting the other side in his eyes at all. The golden dragon's throat moved. It wanted to explain, but gave up in the end. The dragon slayers were an absolute taboo to the dragon race. If Tang Zheng said it so bluntly, the other side would definitely not let it go and would be thoroughly enraged. As expected, after hearing the 3 words dragon slayers, the other side was completely enraged. He kept struggling, but it was as if Tang Zheng's hand had a magical power. He could not break free at all. You're in cahoots with the dragon slayers? You came to the dragon domain on the orders of the dragon slayers. Must be so. How dare you? And you, as a member of the dragon race, you're actually in cahoots with the dragon slayers. You traitor of the dragon race, none of you should even think about leaving the dragon domain. The other side chattered on, minding his own business and shouting. Then, he looked up to the sky and let out a dragon's roar. The sound shook the surroundings and was even louder than before, spreading in all directions. Tang Zhang's brows trembled. He heard some clues from the dragon's roar and said directly, "Are you informing the dragon race?" "Heh, even if you didn't inform them, I would still go find them." "Then let's go together." At this time, the golden dragon could not stop him. He could only follow behind Tang Zhang and fly into the distance. The dragon that was baring his fangs and brandishing his claws seemed to have completely given up struggling. He allowed Tang Zhang to grab him and fly into the distance. The two sides were one big and one small. The contrast between their bodies was obvious, but their auras were worlds apart. In front of Tang Zhang, he was like a powerless baby facing an adult. They did not fly for too long before a golden light flashed on the horizon. This time, it was not a single golden light, but a large golden light. It completely dyed the sky and the sea golden. It was a spectacular sight. "Heh, the main force is here." Tang Zhang simply stopped and watched the golden light fly over. Gradually, Tang Zhang could see the real scene under the golden light. It was actually dozens of dragons. Their huge bodies occupied half of the sky, and their auras were terrifying. "Master, I'll do it." The golden dragon stepped forward and rushed to the front. Tang Zhang did not object. Since it was the main force of the dragon race, there was naturally no need to fight head-on. He did not come to the dragon realm to fight and kill. With so many dragons, there must be some who knew the golden dragon. When the time came to explain clearly, all the misunderstandings would be resolved. "You're dead." Tang Zhang felt the strength of the struggle in his hand increase again. He looked down and happened to look at the dragon in his hand. He heard the other party say so with murderous intent. Tang Zhang did not mind and said with a smile, "Whether you live or die is not up to you. Let's wait and see." The other party snorted coldly with a "you're dead" expression. He looked at the main force of the dragon race with a burning gaze. He wanted to break free from Tang Zhang's hand. Otherwise, if he was seen by his fellow dragons, wouldn't he lose face? However, this hope did not come true. He could only helplessly accept reality and be firmly held by Tang Zhang. He then watched as the main force of the dragon race flew in front of him. The golden dragon flew out impatiently and blocked in front of the dragons, saying, "This is all a misunderstanding. Everyone, please calm down." Chapter 1589. Many pairs of eyes stared at the golden dragon in unison. Their gazes were quite unfriendly, but it was obvious that some dragons had recognized him and asked suspiciously, "It's you?" The golden dragon let out a sigh of relief and hurriedly nodded, "It's me. We're all dragons. There's no need to fight. This is all a misunderstanding." After saying that, the golden dragon squeezed out a kind smile. D7% CF% D3% C4% B8% F3 nonsense. Then is he a dragon? You brought an outsider to the dragon field. What are your intentions? Someone directly pointed at Tang Zhang and said. He's also a dragon. The golden dragon looked deeply at Tang Zhang. Seeing him nod slightly, he immediately pointed out Tang Zhang's identity. He's a dragon? Ha ha ha. As soon as this was said, there was a burst of laughter. All the dragons looked at Tang Zhang with ridicule and laughed. Everyone, look at him. Which part of him looks like a dragon? If he's a dragon, then what are we? Ha ha ha, you don't even know how to make up a reliable lie. This kind of lie can be seen through at a glance. Don't make a fool of yourself. Master is really a dragon. The golden dragon hurriedly explained. Master? The dragons were shocked and grasped this key point. They all looked at the golden dragon in shock and anger. The golden dragon knew that he had misspoken. This sentence was likely to ignite another explosive barrel. If he was not careful, it would be another chaotic battle. You said that I'm not a dragon, right? Tang Zheng saw that the golden dragon and these dragons could not be explained clearly. The dragons were immersed in their own wishful thinking, so he walked forward and asked indifferently. The dragon nodded and looked at him covetously. Of course you're not a dragon. You're clearly a human. Can't we see that? Is that so? Tang Zheng's lips curled into a smile. Then what is this? As soon as he finished speaking, his entire body bloomed with golden light. With a shake of his body, he transformed into a huge dragon and hovered in the air. The dragon captive finally found a chance to escape. He staggered back, but as soon as he looked up, he stared blankly at the scene in front of him and could no longer move. All of the other dragon tribe cultivators were also dumbstruck as they stared at this scene. Tang Zheng looked down from above, soaring in the air, his 9 dragon claws baring their fangs and brandishing their claws, full of vigor. His huge dragon eyes stared straight at them, and that terrifying dragon might seem to press down on the hearts of every dragon. Roar! A dragon's roar shook the heavens, and the hearts of the dragons trembled. Some of them trembled in fear and hurriedly retreated. Am I not a dragon? Tang Zheng's voice sounded again, but it was completely different from before. It carried a strong dragon's might, and it was insufferably arrogant and lofty. The dragon clan was completely stunned. No one answered. This was a genuine dragon clan. How could any dragon clan member dare to deny it? Everyone, look at his head. A dragon clan cried out in alarm as he pointed at Tang Zheng's forehead in shock. Dragon horn! Exclamations sounded again. All of the dragon clan members saw the sharp dragon horn. Although it was very short, it was very shocking. Immediately, the dragon clan members who were disrespectful to Tang Zheng lowered their heads. As for the golden dragon recognizing Tang Zheng as its master, everyone thought that it was normal. Dragons with dragon horns had an extremely high status in the dragon clan. It was a very honorable thing to recognize him as its master. Tang Zheng showed off for a moment, completely intimidating the dragon clan. Seeing that they no longer had the intention to fight, his heart was as calm as an ancient well. He did not want to be entangled with these dragon clan members, so he revealed his dragon form. Take me to see the Dragon King. Tang Zheng ordered majestically. The dragon clan members looked at each other, and in the end, no one dared to refute. They obediently led the way for Tang Zheng and the golden dragon and flew forward. The golden dragon looked at Tang Zheng enviously. As expected of its master, he directly intimidated all the dragon clan members as soon as he made a move. It did not have such awe-inspiring power. Its saliva was dry, but there was no effect at all. The golden dragon had been away from the dragon clan for too long. It did not know how important a dragon clan member with dragon horns was, so it did not understand the reaction of the other dragon clan members. There were 8 dragon envoys and 1 dragon king in the dragon clan. These 9 were at the top of the power pyramid of the dragon clan, and they all had one thing in common, which was that they had dragon horns. This was a distinctive feature that distinguished them from the other dragon clan members. That was why the dragon clan members had such a big reaction when they saw the dragon horns. A new dragon clan member with dragon horns had arrived in the dragon realm. This news would definitely spread like wildfire throughout the dragon realm. The dragon clan members flew to an area and stopped. A golden light rose from the water below and occupied half of the sky. The golden dragon carefully explained, "Master, the dragon palace is below." Tang Zheng nodded secretly. So the dragon palace was underwater. It seemed that the dragon clan members had the same habit of living underwater. The dragon palace in the South Sea was like this. Boom! All the dragon clan members shook their heads and waved their tails as they rushed toward the water. Tang Zheng did not want to be left behind. He entered the water with the golden dragon. Water was like air to the dragon clan. The surrounding water surged toward Tang Zheng, giving him a warm and intimate feeling. The water was very deep. They swam at an extremely fast speed for a long time, but they still could not see the bottom. However, the golden light that soared into the sky became more and more intense. It was like a beacon that was guiding them home. Suddenly, Tang Zhang's dragon eyes shrank. He looked at the scene in front of him in disbelief. Although he had seen the Dragon Palace before, compared to the scene in front of him, the Dragon Palace in the South Sea was like a thatched cottage. It was not worth mentioning at all. What he saw was not just a dragon palace, but a city. It was bigger and more magnificent than any human city. Looking at it, there was only one thought in his mind, and that was to be deeply shocked. He was impressed by the beautiful buildings. The golden dragon seemed to have guessed Tang Zhang's thoughts and said proudly, "Master, this is the core of the dragon domain, the home of the dragon clan. All the dragon clan members live in this area. Look at the tallest building in the center. That is the Dragon Palace." Tang Zhang quickly looked over. Sure enough, there was a tall building in the center of the area. It was far taller than the buildings in other places. A mighty dragon head stood at the top of the building. The dragon head looked up to the sky and seemed to be letting out a dragon's roar. It was indescribably awe-inspiring and shook one's soul. A huge light screen covered the city, isolating them from the water. When they approached, the majestic aura of the Dragon Palace hit them in the face, shocking their soul. Before they even got close, several teams of patrolling Dragon Clan members discovered them. However, without exception, they were all deeply attracted by Tang Zhang's dragon horn. Pairs of eyes stared straight at the dragon horn. Their eyes were filled with complex emotions. The golden dragon felt as if it had grown a dragon horn. It felt proud and elated. Compared to the last time when it came back silently, it felt too good this time. Tang Zhang was very calm. He carefully looked at the city and the Dragon Palace. Chapter 1590. The dragons landed on the vast square in front of the Dragon Palace. This square could be described as vast. It was really too big. Tang Zhang had never seen such a big square. There were many dragons walking on the square. Some were dragons, some were humans, and all of them were exuding dragon might. Tang Zhang stood on the plaza and couldn't help but look around. The other Dragon Clan also looked at him, and when they saw the dragon horn on his head, they all revealed expressions of shock. They stopped in their tracks and stared at him without blinking. There were already sounds of discussion in the Dragon Clan, and they were pointing at each other. Tang Zhang didn't seem to see it. His gaze swept past the dragons and looked toward the Dragon Palace. Standing on the ground, he could feel the majestic aura of the Dragon Palace. It made people involuntarily have the urge to kowtow. The gate of the Dragon Palace was very large. On both sides stood dragon guards with weapons in their hands. They were awe-inspiring and directly blocked their path. Some dragons came forward to negotiate. Only then were they let go. When Tang Zhang walked through the gate, he could clearly feel the vigilance and curiosity in the eyes of the dragon guards. When the other dragons saw that Tang Zhang was actually indifferent, as if he had come to an ordinary place, they were all surprised and clicked their tongues in wonder. Immediately, they were also filled with a strong curiosity about Tang Zhang's background. Passing through layers upon layers of magnificent palaces, Tang Zhang enjoyed the feeling of being the center of attention along the way. Finally, they arrived at the core of the Dragon Palace, the Dragon Palace. The dragon head that roared at the sky stood at the top of the Dragon Palace, making the Dragon Palace even more majestic and inviolable. The guards of the Dragon Palace were very strict, but it seemed that they had already received information that they would come, so they were not stopped at all. Under the eyes of the two groups of majestic dragon guards, Tang Zhang and the Golden Dragon walked into the Dragon Palace, while most of the other Dragon Clan were blocked outside the Dragon Palace. Only the Dragon Clan that first discovered Tang Zhang were allowed to enter together. After stepping into the Dragon Palace, Tang Zhang could clearly feel that the aura around him had undergone an earth-shattering change. The terrifying dragon might was everywhere, converging from all directions, giving him a huge pressure that fiercely enveloped his body. He took a deep breath and circulated the dragon god art, dispelling the dragon might. This way, he wouldn't show any fear in front of others or act strangely. The Dragon Palace Hall was the core of the dragon domain's power. The high dome was richly ornamented and painted. It was extremely beautiful and magnificent. Moreover, it was mainly golden in color. It was a dazzling sight. Tang Zheng's attention was first attracted by the 8 dragons on both sides. They were all in human form and sat on exquisite thrones. They were high and mighty, as if they were looking down on all living things. When Tang Zheng walked in, 8 pairs of eyes shot over in unison and focused on him. Their sharp gazes seemed to be able to pierce through his body and mind, completely seeing through him. Tang Zheng's heart trembled. He guessed that they must be the 8 dragon envoys that the golden dragon had mentioned earlier. No wonder they could become dragon envoys. Just their auras alone were enough to suppress the other dragons, giving people a feeling that they couldn't be ignored. Furthermore, when the 8 of them pressed down together, their terrifying dragon might could make the other dragons not dare to have the slightest thought of resisting. Facing all this, the golden dragon had already lowered his head, not daring to face the 8 dragon envoys. Only Tang Zheng was not afraid in the slightest. He openly met their gazes, looked at them, and also carefully sized them up. The dragon envoys all revealed expressions of shock. He actually dared to be so bold. This was a complete provocation. How dare you, where did you come from? Why aren't you kneeling down when you see the dragon envoys? A dragon envoy roared and berated with a stern expression. Tang Zheng frowned slightly. The dragons were really used to being high and mighty. Even in front of their own kind, they seemed to like to play with their own status. Tang Zheng and the golden dragon stood still. The golden dragon had only been to the dragon palace once before. He deeply felt the majesty of the dragon palace and didn't dare to act rashly. Last time, all the dragon envoys and the dragon king denied his words, thinking that it was a fantasy. He was very hurt and couldn't help but worry about Tang Zheng. However, seeing how calm Tang Zheng was, he swallowed all his words back into his stomach. Do dragons like to kneel? You actually have to kneel when you see your own kind. This etiquette is really thoughtful. Tang Zheng curled the corner of his mouth and said mockingly, without a hint of sarcasm. Hiss. Looking at this person, many dragons gasped. He actually dared to talk back to the dragon envoys, and all 8 of them at that. This was really audacious. The 8 dragon envoys were stunned for a moment. Almost at the same time, they were furious and berated. How dare you speak so rudely in the dragon palace? You have no manners at all. Whose descendant are you? This is none of your business. I'm here to look for the Dragon King. I have something important to discuss with him. I don't want to waste time on other things. So, quickly ask the Dragon King to come out. Don't keep us in suspense. Tang Zheng was worried that the Dragon Slayer would arrive at Langya Pavilion at any time. Time waits for no man, so he said it directly. However, his words were like a bolt from the blue. Everyone looked at him in disbelief. He actually wanted to see the Dragon King. Did he really think that anyone could meet the Dragon King? Lord Dragon Envoy, Master really has something important to discuss with the Dragon King. Please make an exception. The Golden Dragon saw that the atmosphere wasn't harmonious and was afraid that something unexpected would happen, so he quickly explained. You don't have the right to speak here. I'll settle this with you later. The Dragon Envoy didn't even look at the Golden Dragon and said disdainfully. It was as if they didn't care about the Dragon Clan at all. The Dragon Clan had always been high and mighty, but within the Dragon Clan, there was a strict hierarchy. The other Dragon Clans would never dare to do what Tang Zheng and the Golden Dragon did. Tang Zheng's frown deepened. He looked deeply at the 8 Dragon Envoys and couldn't help but sigh. The Dragon Clan's decline wasn't unrelated to him. At least, this kind of high and mighty attitude wasn't likable. Our mouths are on our bodies. How can we not have the right to speak? I really didn't expect that the Dragon Clan would become like this. They only know how to be arrogant. Actually, if you were really powerful, you could have gone to find the dragon slayer for revenge instead of coldly looking at your own fellow countrymen. How could Tang Jing endure this kind of vexation, so he directly pushed back. These words angered the 8 dragon envoys even more. Some of the dragon envoys stood up as if they wanted to teach Tang Jing a lesson. Tang Jing wasn't afraid at all. He stood there proudly and looked directly at the dragon envoy. His stare made the dragon envoy feel guilty. I heard that you also have dragon horns. Is that true? The two sides were in a deadlock for a while before a dragon slayer broke the silence again. Obviously, this was one of their main concerns. As dragon envoys, they were the most mysterious existences in the dragon clan. They also had dragon horns, but the length was different. However, they were all very clear about the mysteriousness and power of dragon horns, so naturally, they were the first to ask this question. Of course I have dragon horns. I heard that you all have them too. Tang Jing didn't back down and said lightly. How did you get your dragon horns? A dragon envoy asked curiously. They grew naturally when I was cultivating the dragon god arts. Tang Jing said honestly. He had already grown dragon horns before fusing with the dragon god fragment. They grew naturally when you were cultivating the dragon god arts? The dragon envoys were all shocked. They looked at each other and Tang Jing in disbelief. What's wrong with that? Tang Jing indifferently asked in return. Of course not. The dragon envoy was resolute and said angrily, please understand the situation before you brag. Otherwise, your bragging is going to reach the heavens. The dragon god arts is a powerful ability, but it definitely won't let dragon horns grow. Chapter 1591. The other dragons also looked at Tang Jing with ridicule. It wasn't like no one had cultivated the dragon god arts before, it was just that all dragons had cultivated the dragon god arts before. This was the foundation of all dragons' divine abilities, yet no one else had grown dragon horns. This was truly a fantasy. The golden dragon knew that Tang Jing's talent was special. He had the 9-yang saint body and was a celestial. Perhaps this had something to do with his talent. As for what Tang Jing said, there was not a single lie. He had indeed cultivated the dragon god art, and then naturally grew dragon horns. Thus, he stepped forward and loudly said, I can testify. The other dragons all looked at him. The dragon envoy glanced at him with disdain and didn't place him in his eyes at all. He lightly said, your words are not trustworthy. You. The golden dragon wanted to retort, but facing the dragon envoy, his fear of heaven and earth made him stop. Tang Jing took a step forward and closed the distance between him and the dragon envoy. He helped the golden dragon out of his predicament and said, I came to the dragon domain for the sake of the dragon clan's survival, not to waste my saliva with you. I never thought that the dragon race would fall to this level and only know how to argue amongst themselves. Could it be that when facing a dragon slayer, you think you can use your mouth to retreat? This retort could be said to be sharp and pointed at the most painful part of the dragon race's heart. The 8 dragon envoys all stood up and angrily said, how dare you? I think you've been wandering outside for too long and have completely forgotten the rules of the dragon race. Then we'll teach you the rules. A dragon envoy strode down the stairs. They didn't order the other dragons to attack. After all, Tang Jing had dragon horns and the dragon envoy knew how powerful they were. If the other dragons attacked, they might not win. The dragon envoy directly attacked to intimidate the other side and let him understand the dragon envoy's strength. It wasn't something the other dragons could contend against. Master. The golden dragon saw this and became anxious. He tried to step forward, but was blocked by Tang Jing. Don't worry, I'll do it. Tang Jing gave the golden dragon a comforting look and walked over to the dragon envoy. When the two sides were only a few meters apart, the dragon envoy attacked first. Shwa! The sharp and domineering golden light appeared out of nowhere and surrounded Tang Jing in an instant. It was as if the golden light had been there all along and Tang Zheng had walked right into it. Tang Zheng was unmoved. He continued to walk toward the dragon envoy. Whoosh! Whoosh! In such a short distance, the power of the golden light was extremely shocking. Many dragons gasped because it had been too long since they had seen the dragon envoy make a move. I'm so lucky to have this opportunity today. Of course, they couldn't help but rejoice in his misfortune, thinking that this unknown dragon was going to suffer a great loss. After this lesson, he would understand what the rules of the dragon race were. Offending one's superiors was not a light crime. Tang Zheng's footsteps did not stop. He saw the golden light coming at him, but it seemed to be a step too slow. It actually did not catch up with him. The golden light missed and hit the void behind him. It exploded with a loud bang. Chi waves rolled, but it did not affect Tang Zheng in the slightest. At that moment, pairs of eyes seemed to be about to pop out of their sockets. Their jaws almost fell to the ground. What the hell, what was going on? How could this be? The dragon envoy was also shocked. He immediately regained his composure and prepared to launch the first round of attacks. However, just as the golden light flashed, Tang Zheng had already walked in front of him and grabbed him. Whoosh! The dragon envoy moved directly toward Tang Zheng. His feet drew a long trail on the ground. It was obvious that the dragon envoy was trying his best to resist, but he could not stop Tang Zheng. Bang! In the blink of an eye, the dragon envoy crashed into Tang Zheng's palm and was completely under his control. This scene shocked all the dragons. Cries of surprise rang out everywhere. Even the other dragon envoys could not remain calm. It had come too quickly and ended too quickly. Before anyone could react, the dust had settled. The dragon envoy had lost. It was a complete and clean defeat. Stop! The other dragon envoys felt the same way and shouted. Tang Zheng raised his eyes and looked at the 7 dragon envoys on the throne. He said mockingly, "Now you know to stop. Where did your aura go? Where did you come from, dragon clan?" The dragon envoy shouted. Tang Zheng snorted and did not comment. His gaze fell on the dragon envoy in his hand. The dragon envoy kept struggling. It was obvious that he did not want to admit defeat. His eyes bulged like copper bells as he glared fiercely at Tang Zheng. "You're finished. Offending your superiors is a serious crime in the dragon clan. No matter where you come from, you can forget about leaving the dragon palace." The dragon envoy threatened sternly. Tang Zheng did not care. He said, "You've already fallen into my hands and you still dare to be so arrogant. You're really arrogant. Since that's the case, let's see how long you can be arrogant for." Tang Zheng's fingers tightened. Crack, crack, crack. The dragon envoy's joints immediately cracked. His bones seemed to be on the verge of breaking. It was clear how terrifying the strength in his hand was. "Stop, stop quickly." The dragon envoy shouted, but Tang Zheng turned a deaf ear. The other dragon clan members trembled in fear. Their hearts trembled. This dragon clan member was truly audacious. The golden dragon had witnessed all the ups and downs that Tang Zheng had gone through, but he understood his style of doing things very well. The dragon envoy had been high and mighty from the very beginning and did not put him in his eyes, which was why he retaliated so sharply. If the dragon envoy had been kind from the start, perhaps things would not have developed to this point. Although he was also a dragon clan member, he stood firmly on Tang Zheng's side. He was fully alert, afraid that he would be flustered if they fought. Tang Zheng had no intention of stopping. In an instant, the dragon envoy did not even have the strength to shout for him to stop. He could only gasp for breath as if he had really reached his limit. Finally, he begged for mercy in a low voice, "Don't use too much strength, please let me go." The high and mighty dragon envoy was actually begging for mercy. This made the other dragon clan members' jaws drop. The other 7 dragon envoys felt as if they had been slapped in the face. They were burning with shame. Shut up. The other dragon envoys shouted loudly, stopping their companion from begging for mercy. Don't even think about leaving the dragon palace today. The 7 dragon envoys were bristling with righteous indignation as they surrounded him. Don't touch my master. The golden dragon did not hesitate. He stepped forward and stood beside Tang Zheng. His whole body glowed with golden light as his dragon might erupted. He looked at the dragon envoy, ready to attack. Tang Zheng glanced at the golden dragon from the corner of his eye and smiled knowingly. The golden dragon looked at this smile and felt warmth in his heart. His expression became even more determined. This smile seemed to have given him great courage and confidence. His originally anxious heart also calmed down. He met the gazes of the dragon envoys. Impudent, you're really lawless, the dragon envoy roared. The 7 dragon envoys flashed and surrounded Tang Zheng and the golden dragon. Chapter 1592. The 7 dragon envoys surrounded Tang Zheng and the golden dragon. The other dragons all retreated to give them space, afraid that they would be implicated. Sister-in-law Sokolal said, "Look at the most beautiful woman." However, Tang Zheng was extremely calm, the corner of his mouth hooked up into a smile, and said, "Are we really going to fight? Before I came here, I had thought of countless scenarios, but this was the only one I didn't think of. Hee, the dragon clan is really not the same as before. After the dragon god fell, the dragon clan actually became like this." Sigh. A long sigh, filled with indescribable complicated emotions. Tang Zheng's emotions were indeed very complicated. In fact, he could completely stay out of this matter and ignore the life and death of the dragon clan, as well as other matters like life and death. In any case, from the few interactions he had with the dragon slayers, the dragon slayers could not sense him like the other dragons. As long as he was fully prepared, it would be difficult for the dragon slayers to find him, which meant that he was much less dangerous than the other dragons. If not for the promise he made to the dragon clan's seniors, and because he had obtained many inheritances from the dragon clan, he would not meddle in other people's business. Especially when these dragon envoys had such an attitude, it was too disappointing. When the dragon envoys heard the 2 words, dragon god, they did not have any reaction and were already prepared to attack. Stop. Suddenly, a dignified voice sounded. With a flash of golden light, a figure appeared on the throne in the middle of the high platform. He had a long beard, thick eyebrows, and big eyes. He looked very dignified. Most importantly, there were 2 horns on both sides of his forehead. Dragon horns. After he transformed into a human, there were dragon horns, and those dragon horns were even longer and bigger than Tang Zheng's. His identity was obvious, the Dragon King. When the Dragon King appeared, the other dragons all bowed and called out respectfully, "Dragon King." Even the golden dragon bowed slightly. It was obvious how powerful the Dragon King's dignity was. In the Dragon Palace, only 2 people did not bow. One was the dragon envoy who had lost his freedom and could not bow even if he wanted to. The other was Tang Zheng, who raised his head and looked at the Dragon King casually. He stared straight at the 2 dragon horns, his heart thumping as he thought to himself, amazing. No wonder he could become the Dragon King. Just these 2 dragon horns alone were enough to prove his cultivation and strength. The Dragon King looked at Tang Zheng's arrogant attitude and frowned slightly, but he didn't probe further. Instead, he asked in a deep voice, "Did you just mention the dragon god?" The other dragons looked up in confusion and glanced at the Dragon King. They did not know what he meant. Dragon god? What was that? Why haven't I heard of it before? The Dragon Clan had only heard of the Dragon King, but had never heard of the Dragon God. Even the dragon envoys looked suspicious. They looked at each other and gently shook their heads, seeing the confusion in each other's eyes. Tang Zheng saw their reaction and combined it with the golden dragon's previous words. He suddenly realized that the dragon god was related to the traitor of the dragon race, which was the core secret of the dragon race. Therefore, no one in the dragon clan knew about this except for the Dragon King. Even the high and mighty dragon envoy was kept in the dark about this. The dragon clan is really unscrupulous for their so-called honor. For so many years, they have completely kept the dragon clan in the dark. Tang Zheng sighed and looked directly at the Dragon King. He said indifferently, "Yes, I mentioned the dragon god." After that, he looked at the Dragon King meaningfully. The Dragon King was very smart. He saw the hidden meaning in Tang Zheng's eyes and ordered the other dragons, "Stand down." The other dragons looked at the Dragon King in surprise, but no one dared to disobey the Dragon King's order. Even the dragon envoy had to step aside obediently. Tang Zheng also let go of his hand. The dragon envoy was freed and wanted to retaliate. However, after looking at the Dragon King, he had no choice but to swallow his anger and step aside unwillingly. Tang Zheng looked at the Dragon King and asked jokingly, "Do you want to fight too? How dare you speak to the Dragon King in such a tone?" The dragon envoy could not stand it anymore and scolded loudly with a dark face. The Dragon King waved his hand, indicating for the dragon envoy not to make a fuss. He walked towards Tang Zheng step by step and said in a low voice, "How did you know?" Tang Zheng smiled and said, "This is indeed a secret to the dragon clan. However, there is no such thing as an absolute secret in this world." Seeing that Tang Zheng wanted to continue, the Dragon King's expression turned cold. He waved his hand and ordered the other dragons, "All of you, stand down." Dragon King. The dragon envoy looked at the Dragon King worriedly and did not move. The Dragon King looked around sternly and asked, "Do you want me to say it again?" No one dared to ask the Dragon King to say it again. Although they had many questions, they still walked out obediently. However, they kept glancing at Tang Zheng as if warning him not to act rashly in front of the Dragon King. "You also go out," the Dragon King said when he saw that the golden dragon did not move. The golden dragon's heart trembled. Just as he was about to leave, he was stopped by Tang Zheng. He said lightly, "He knows everything that I know. There is nothing to hide from him. He must stay." Tang Zheng was afraid that the dragon envoy would take revenge on the golden dragon after he left. After all, the golden dragon was not their match. The golden dragon looked at Tang Zheng gratefully and stopped in his tracks. The Dragon King frowned and looked at the golden dragon deeply. This was a scrutinizing gaze, very cautious. After a moment, the Dragon King turned his head, obviously agreeing to let the golden dragon stay. "You can talk about the dragon god now. How do you know about the dragon god? Who told you?" The Dragon King said in a deep voice. "It seems that my guess was right. In the entire dragon clan, I'm afraid that you are the only one who knows about the dragon god." Tang Zheng did not answer in a hurry. Instead, he said meaningfully, "This is the core secret of the dragon clan. Of course, only I, the Dragon King, know about it. Therefore, I am very curious. Who told you this?" "The Dragon Slayer told me." Tang Zheng said lightly, but these words were like a bolt from the blue, causing the Dragon King's expression to change greatly. He cried out in surprise, "Dragon Slayer? How is that possible? Why is that impossible?" Tang Zheng asked back. The Dragon King looked at Tang Zheng in disbelief and said, "You saw the Dragon Slayer, so how can you still stand in front of me alive?" In the past, as long as the Dragon Clan was targeted by the Dragon Slayer, there was basically no chance of survival. That was why the Dragon King was so surprised. Moreover, there were not many Dragon Slayers who knew about the Dragon God. Those were the upper echelons of the Dragon Slayer, and their fighting strength was very strong. If Tang Zheng wanted to know about the Dragon God, he could only hear it from them. Then, he should not be standing here unscathed. In fact, it was precisely because of this that the relationship between the Dragon God and the Dragon Slayer had been kept a secret. Even if the Dragon Slayer had mentioned this to the Dragon Clan, the Dragon Clan could not escape from the Dragon Slayer's evil hands. Naturally, this secret was kept. Seeing the Dragon King making such a fuss, Tang Zheng directly said, "I do admit that the Dragon Slayer is powerful, but it's definitely not as terrifying as you say. Otherwise, how could I kill so many Dragon Slayer? You killed a lot of Dragon Slayer? The Dragon King shouted again. When the Dragon clan outside heard the shout, they all wanted to rush in, but they did not dare to take half a step forward. The atmosphere in the Dragon Palace became strange. The way the Dragon King looked at Tang Jing changed again and again. It was not that he had never killed a Dragon Slayer before, the other Dragon clan had also killed a Dragon Slayer before, but that was many years ago. All these years, the Dragon clan's headquarters had been hiding in the Dragon domain and no longer had a direct confrontation with the Dragon Slayer. Only a few lone Dragon clan fought with the Dragon Slayer, but without exception, these Dragon clan all died. But Tang Zheng had actually killed many Dragon Slayer. Chapter 1593. Wow! Dragon King looked at Tang Zheng's calm and composed manner and started to hesitate again. He didn't seem to be bragging. Combined with what he said, it seemed that he was most likely telling the truth. But how was that possible? Even with Dragon King's rich imagination, it was extremely difficult for him to imagine what was going on. Tang Zheng looked at Dragon King indifferently and ignored his reaction. He was the king of a race, why was he so afraid of the enemy? Did he have no confidence in his own race at all? It was as if he was scared out of his wits by the Dragon Slayer. Both parties fell into silence and the atmosphere became strange. After a long while, Dragon King spoke again and asked, although you have dragon horns, it is not easy to kill the Dragon Slayer. How did you kill them? Where did you kill them? Obviously, Dragon King wanted to know more details. Tang Jing smiled faintly and said casually, it took a lot of effort to kill the first one, but it was much easier to kill the rest in Langya Pavilion. Langya Pavilion. The Dragon King was shocked, and his eyes widened. You're lying. How can a Dragon Slayer reach the Langya Pavilion? That is a place that only the dragon race can reach. It is impossible for other races to reach. Dragon King became agitated. He thought to himself that he was almost fooled by this kid. He didn't expect him to give himself away so much. Any dragon who heard this would be able to expose his lies without any effort. Dragon King immediately raised his head high and looked down at Tang Zheng with disdain. Tang Zheng raised his head and looked at Dragon King mockingly. He didn't know where his confidence came from. He was the Dragon King. This was no longer pride and nobility, but arrogance and conceit. You have never seen it before, so it is impossible? Arbitrary. Tang Zheng's simple retort made Dragon King's expression rich. His gaze darkened and became sharp and dignified. He said, you have no proof. How can you prove it? I have no way to prove it. Perhaps you will know the next time the Dragon Slayer arrives at Langya Pavilion. Tang Zheng paused for a moment, then shook his head and said, no, even if the next Dragon Slayer comes to Langya Pavilion, you won't know. Because you can't sense them at all, so naturally, you can't see them. The Langya Pavilion was a very special place. Every member of the Dragon clan could enter it without interfering with each other. In other words, even if every Dragon clan member entered Langya Pavilion at the same time, they would not be able to see each other. The Langya Pavilion had a special function that could isolate the dragons within, allowing them to do as they pleased without being disturbed. Therefore, if Tang Zheng hadn't obtained the mysterious inheritance of the Dragon clan's senior, he wouldn't have been able to sense those Dragon Slayers and naturally wouldn't have been able to see them. Tang Zheng's words greatly provoked the Dragon King, causing his expression to fluctuate. He snorted angrily and said, the Langya Pavilion isolates every Dragon clan. Even if the Dragon Slayers enter, they will be isolated from the other Dragon clans. How can you see them? Therefore, humph, a bunch of lies. Tang Zheng shook his head and sighed. Do you think I saw what you saw? Ridiculous. The Langya Pavilion can isolate the other dragons, but not me. Do you understand? The Dragon King's thick eyebrows twitched. He was skeptical. Then how did you do it? Tang Zheng wasn't in a hurry to answer. He said, I wonder if you've explored the place shrouded in fog outside the Langya Pavilion? The Dragon Clan has an ancestral rule. The descendants of the Dragon Clan must never set foot in that area. The Dragon King said righteously. Suddenly, he realized something and stared sharply at Tang Zheng. He asked in bewilderment, "Did you go to that area?" Tang Zheng knew that he couldn't hide it anymore, so he simply admitted it openly. Yes. The Dragon King's aura soared. He roared furiously, "How dare you do that? You're going against the Dragon Clan's ancestral rule. You're a sinner of the Dragon Clan." The Dragon King's reprimand was so heavy that the Golden Dragon's heart was in suspense. He looked at him worriedly and wanted to refute him. Tang Zheng, on the other hand, was calm. He raised his eyelids and said, "You want to punish me with this? It's not certain who's the sinner of the Dragon Clan. Don't you want to know what's in that area?" The Dragon King's heart trembled. He blurted out, "What's there?" After saying that, he realized that he had been led by the nose by Tang Zheng. He couldn't help but feel embarrassed. He was secretly angry, but he had to suppress his anger. The other Langya pavilion is upside down. There are countless dead Dragon Clan members and their dragon souls buried in it. Tang Zheng said concisely. Dragon souls. The Dragon King turned pale with fright. His expression was unprecedentedly rich. At the same time, many thoughts that had been in his mind for a long time surged out like a tide. As the Dragon King, he naturally knew more about the inside stories and secrets of the Dragon Clan than the other Dragon Clan members. One of them was the inside story of the Dragon Tomb. The Dragon Tomb had been destroyed by the Dragon Slayers, and many dragon souls had fallen into the hands of the Dragon Slayers. Most of the dragon race thought so, but the Dragon King knew one thing. This was what the previous Dragon King had unintentionally said, and that was that the Dragon Tomb might not have been completely destroyed by the Dragon Slayers. The Dragon Slayers had only destroyed a small part of the Dragon Tomb. This was a huge doubt, but there was no evidence to support it. Therefore, the Dragon King only suspected it. Now that Tang Zheng mentioned this, he immediately remembered. His mood became complicated. He hoped that what Tang Zheng said was true, but he also hoped that it wasn't. After all, if what he said was true, then it was very likely that he killed the Dragon Slayer. Then, his battle record would be well known even among the Dragon Clan. The Dragon King didn't want to see this. Tang Zheng ignored the Dragon King's complicated feelings. He nodded lightly and continued, "Not only are there dragon souls, but there are also fragments of the Dragon God. They are the fragments of the Dragon God's dragon soul after the Dragon God died." This was like a heavy bomb, ruthlessly destroying the last trace of fluke in the Dragon King's heart. If Tang Zheng said that there was a dragon soul, it might be possible that he was lying. However, there was no way he could lie when he said that there was a fragment of the Dragon God. This was because in the entire clan, only the Dragon King knew the secret of the dragon soul. The other dragons didn't know about the existence of the Dragon God. Therefore, it was impossible for Tang Zheng to make up a lie. Only when he had truly experienced it would he know the core secret of this matter. The expression on the Dragon King's face could no longer be described with simple words. Even the most complicated color palette in the world was not as complicated as his expression. The Dragon King looked at Tang Zheng again. The more he looked, the more he couldn't see through him. Tang Zheng met the Dragon King's gaze. He had already seen some clues. The Dragon King's last bit of doubt was crushed. He couldn't doubt anymore. Thus, he simply stopped talking, folded his arms, and looked at the Dragon King calmly. To read a novel, please visit Chapter 1594. The Dragon King's thoughts changed and his expression changed. In the end, his gaze was fixed on Tang Zheng. Especially when he looked at his calm and composed appearance, he was furious. Read the new domain name, initials, previously registered accounts can still be used. However, he was the Dragon King after all and his ability to maintain his composure was top-notch. He said, "Then tell me in detail what you saw inside." In fact, he wanted to enter Langya Pavilion himself to investigate, but before that, it was more appropriate to listen to what Tang Zheng had to say. Tang Zheng wanted to tell him anyway, and he could not hide it from him. Back then, the dragon seniors had warned him not to tell others about the inverted Langya Pavilion, and only he knew about it. This way, the dragon soul's safety would be guaranteed. However, now that the dragon slayers could enter Langya Pavilion, the dragon's soul was no longer safe. He could not rely on his own strength to fight against the dragon slayers, so he had to tell the Dragon King this secret. Of course, the Dragon King would definitely not make it public. At least for a short period of time, the dragon soul's secret would still be kept. Therefore, Tang Zheng started from the beginning and told him tirelessly. He even told him the original words that the dragon seniors reprimanded the dragon race. The Dragon King's old face turned red. He had just reprimanded Tang Zheng as a sinner of the dragon race, but the dragon seniors reprimanded the dragon race for being useless. They actually followed the rules for so many years and did not dare to explore that area at all. Of course, this was partly due to the Dragon King. He usually ordered the dragon race to follow the ancestral teachings. This was why the dragon race did not dare to take the risk. When he heard that the dragon seniors taught Tang Zheng the remarkable ability, the Dragon King's eyes lit up. He could not help but feel envious. This was not an ordinary inheritance of the dragon race. It was only taught to Tang Zheng alone. The remarkable ability of the dragon seniors is the wealth of the dragon race. It should be shared by the dragon race. This way, we will have more capital when fighting against the dragon slayers. We can avoid the situation like before where we can only be sensed by the dragon slayers and not be able to sense the dragon slayers, as if they were blind. The Dragon King said righteously. Tang Zheng looked at him deeply, and a meaningful smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. He said indifferently, "This is indeed the wealth of the dragon race, so I will teach it to every dragon." He did not say that he would only teach the Dragon King the sensing method. If the Dragon King kept it to himself, it would go against his original intention. Therefore, he decided to impart it to every member of the dragon tribe. After all, this was indeed the wealth of the dragon tribe, and every member of the dragon tribe had the right to obtain it. In addition, with his previous experience, his image in the dragon clan was not good. If he had this mystical power, perhaps he could eliminate the ill feelings in many people's hearts. After all, he was also a member of the dragon clan. It was impossible for him to break off relations with the dragon clan. How could he let go of the opportunity to build a good relationship with them? Hearing his decision, the Dragon King looked at him deeply and did not raise any objections. Tang Zheng continued his story. What happened next was even more exciting and thrilling. He emphasized the first and second time he encountered the Dragon Slayer in Langya Pavilion. When he heard that Tang Zheng repeatedly eliminated the Dragon Slayer, it seemed to be an understatement, but the danger was unimaginable for ordinary people. The Dragon King's heart was also surging. He no longer doubted Tang Zheng's words. All of this could not be made up, especially in front of the Dragon King. If he made up nonsense, the Dragon King would be able to see through it in less than 3 sentences. It turned out that Langya Pavilion was already in danger. As the Dragon King, he was actually unaware. If he did not come to inform him, he was afraid that he would only find out when Langya Pavilion was destroyed by the Dragon Slayer in the future. Suddenly, his feelings towards Tang Zheng became complicated. He could not explain it clearly in a sentence. What did you gain from fusing with the Dragon God fragment? The Dragon King cleverly grasped the key point. The Dragon God fragment was not an ordinary item. It was the Dragon God's Dragon Soul fragment. The Dragon King could not figure out what kind of mysterious effect it had. However, he could conclude that the Dragon God fragment was definitely not simple. Once fused with it, there would definitely be a great gain. Even with his identity as the Dragon King, he could not help but be a little envious of Tang Zheng for having such a fortuitous encounter. Tang Zheng hesitated. Of course he gained something, and that was the advanced version of the Dragon God technique. However, should he make it public? The Golden Dragon also looked at Tang Zheng with a complicated gaze. He knew that he was in a dilemma, but he did not say anything. Everything was up to Tang Zheng to decide. He supported him unconditionally. Tang Zheng slowly raised his head and met the Dragon King's eyes. The Dragon King's heart was also in suspense. He was very sure that after fusing with the Dragon God fragment, he would definitely gain something. He could not predict whether Tang Zheng would tell the truth or not. Of course, he hoped that Tang Zheng would tell the truth. However, it was not up to him to decide. Yes. Tang Zheng simply spat out a word. The Dragon King's eyes immediately lit up, sparkling like two bright stars. He stared at Tang Zheng in an overbearing manner and asked, "What harvest?" The advanced version of the Dragon God technique. Tang Zheng had already made up his mind. The advanced version of the Dragon God technique could benefit the Dragon Clan. How could he keep it to himself? That was not his style. Dragon God technique. Advanced version? The Dragon King suspiciously repeated. He looked at him in astonishment, not understanding the mystery behind it. The Dragon God technique is the foundation of the Dragon Clan's cultivation. It is also the first cultivation method that the Dragon Clan came into contact with. However, the Dragon God technique that the Dragon Clan cultivates is not perfect. It still has an advanced version, which can make up for the Dragon God technique. The Dragon King's mind was shaken. This was something he had never heard of. He was from the Dragon Clan, but it was an outsider who told him these secrets of the Dragon Clan. He could not help but feel ashamed of his inferiority and indignant. Tang Zheng did not care about the Dragon King's thoughts. He spread out his palm and said, "This is the benefit of cultivating the advanced version of the Dragon God technique." A ball of golden light appeared in his palm. Then, a 9-clawed little golden dragon appeared in his palm. Its pair of small eyes stared at the Dragon King without fear. The Dragon King was stunned. He looked at the 9-clawed little golden dragon in shock. He subconsciously wanted to reach out and touch it, but in the next second, he stopped. That would be too degrading. In fact, he did not even need to touch it. He was sure that this little golden dragon was not an illusion. It was the real thing. He did not understand the mystery behind it. He suddenly raised his head and stared at Tang Zheng. He asked, "What is going on?" The corner of Tang Zheng's mouth rose. He said, "Can't you see?" "Ah." The Dragon King was startled. He did not know how to answer. He was the Dragon King, but he could not see through Tang Zheng's trick. Wasn't this slapping his own face? The Dragon King's face sank. It was as if dark clouds were pressing down on him. He looked at Tang Zheng gloomily without saying a word. Tang Zheng was not afraid. Although he had revealed the truth, he did not agree with the Dragon King's previous attitude. It was too high and mighty. That was why he deliberately choked. Fortunately, there were not many dragons present. Otherwise, the Dragon King would not have a way out. The golden dragon was secretly happy. This was Tang Zheng's style. He had already experienced it. Back then, Tang Zheng's cultivation level was so low that the golden dragon did not gain much advantage in front of him. Please visit this site to read the latest novel. Readers who want to read this book, please read a UU novel, or Chapter 1595. Can't you tell? A simple sentence poked at the Dragon King's weak spot. He looked at Tang Zheng with a gloomy face and stared at the little 9-clawed golden dragon. In his eyes, this was a young dragon. It looked weak, but its strength was not to be underestimated. He really could not figure it out. Seeing that the Dragon King was unable to answer, Tang Zheng sneered. The Dragon King's eyesight was only so-so. Back then, the golden dragon was able to see through the mystery because he had been with Tang Zheng all the time and understood Tang Zheng very well. However, the Dragon King knew almost nothing about Tang Zheng. There was too much information that he did not know, so it was naturally not easy to guess. Tang Zheng coughed and deliberately said, this is the little golden dragon in my dragon seal. What? The little golden dragon in your dragon seal can materialize and leave your body? The Dragon King turned pale with fright. This point shocked him once again. He subconsciously probed his dragon seal. A 9-clawed little golden dragon was full of vigor. A dragon had 9 claws. This was the limit. Therefore, the Dragon King also only had 9 claws. However, no matter how the Dragon King looked left and right, he could not make the little golden dragon leave his body. This completely subverted his knowledge and common sense. However, the truth was right in front of his eyes. He could not have the slightest doubt. Tang Zheng looked at the Dragon King without batting an eyelid. Finally, the Dragon King seemed to have recovered from his shock. He suddenly raised his head and stared at Tang Zheng with a complicated look in his eyes. Tang Zheng had already said that this was the benefit of cultivating the advanced version of the Dragon God technique. This miraculous change was naturally the credit of the advanced version of the Dragon God technique. He could not wait to see the advanced version of the Dragon God technique. Quickly tell me the advanced version of the Dragon God technique. The Dragon King ordered with an unquestionable tone. Tang Zheng was unmoved and said, "This is the commonwealth of the Dragon Clan. It does not belong to one person. Therefore, I will personally announce it to all the Dragon Clan." The Dragon King's pupils constricted as a golden light flashed. He lowered his body and approached Tang Zheng. Their eyes met as he stared at him like a tiger eyeing its prey. He asked, "What are you trying to do?" "I don't want the inheritance of the Dragon God to be reduced to the privilege of a few dragons. This is the commonwealth of all dragons, and all dragons have the right to inherit it." Tang Zheng said indifferently, not fearing the Dragon King's aggressive gaze. He was already very clear that the dragon race was a privileged world with a strict hierarchy. The strong were respected, and many magical powers were reduced to the private privileges of certain dragon race members. He hoped to change this. Of course, he also hoped to use this opportunity to raise his status in the Dragon Clan. Dragon King immediately retorted, "No. The Dragon Clan has its own rules, and it's not something that can be broken by just one person. Rules are dead. They were set by some dragons. Rules can be broken." Tang Zheng did not back down and immediately retorted, "You are making an enemy out of the entire Dragon Clan." The Dragon King said resolutely. The reason why the Dragon King became the Dragon King was not only because he was the strongest, but also because he had many privileges that other dragons did not know about and knew many secrets. Naturally, he did not want anyone to break this. This was a very bad sign. The Dragon King's dignity would be challenged because of this. He definitely could not sit back and do nothing. What an alarmist. Can a single dragon represent the entire Dragon Clan? How could Tang Zheng not know what the Dragon King was thinking, and said jokingly, "I don't know where you came from, but I want to tell you, the world of the Dragon Clan is not as simple as you think." The Dragon King warned. "Dragon King, the advanced version of the Dragon God technique will greatly increase the strength of the Dragon Clan. In the future, it will be easier to fight against the Dragon Slayers. Are you really going to keep it to yourself and hide it?" Tang Zheng said fiercely. Once these words were said, the Dragon King was also angry. He did not really want to hide the advanced version of the Dragon God technique. After all, this was a good thing that was beneficial to all the Dragon Clan. However, he couldn't just stand by and watch as a foreign dragon announced this matter. What would happen to his prestige if that happened? This kind of thing should be announced by him. Who said I want to keep it to myself? This kind of thing should be done by me, not some guy of unknown origin. The Dragon King said angrily. Huh, what an unknown origin. Tang Zheng snorted, "If that's the case, then why do you still want my advanced version of the Dragon God technique? Aren't you afraid that I will purposely make a harmful version? You actually dare to boast so shamelessly. I am precisely worried about this, so I don't want you to announce it to the Dragon Clan. You have to let me take a look first." "Let you take a look first?" Tang Zheng shook his head and said firmly, "Impossible. Once he told the Dragon King would have the opportunity to announce it to the Dragon Clan on his behalf. He would not have anything to do with it. He wouldn't do such a thing to benefit others. Actually, if the Dragon King had put down his high and mighty attitude and came to talk calmly, he would not have been so insistent. But after seeing the Dragon King's style, he changed his mind. Hearing Tang Zheng's straightforward rejection, the Dragon King became more and more angry. This is the dragon domain. It is not up to you. What, do you still want to fight? You are the high and mighty Dragon King. How can you treat your own clansmen like this? Tang Zheng did not expect the Dragon King to turn against him so quickly. You don't know what's good for you. You only have yourself to blame. The Dragon King said coldly. Immediately, the atmosphere became abnormally awkward and hostile. Tang Zheng straightened his body and sighed. I didn't expect the Dragon Clan to become like this. The Dragon God was betrayed back then, and a group of dragon slayers appeared between heaven and earth to exterminate the Dragon Clan. Now, the Dragon Clan does not know how to be united. They are scattered and even want to harm their own clansmen. Perhaps the Dragon God did not think of this back then. I think it won't be long before the Langya Pavilion is destroyed and the Dragon Clan will be completely destroyed by the Dragon Slayers. Tang Zheng was very emotional. He did not expect that his trip full of hope would end up like this. Facing such a situation, could he take a step back? Yes. But after taking a step back, he had to take a second step back. He did not want to become an unprincipled person. He came to help the Dragon Clan, not to be their enemy. Yet, he was treated like this. He was also indignant. They stared at each other. The atmosphere became very subtle and hostile. The Golden Dragon looked left and right. He hesitated for a moment and said, Dragon King, Master is thinking for the Dragon Clan. He has no selfish motives. You may have misunderstood. The Dragon Slayers may enter the Langya Pavilion again at any time. At that time, we will be passive. Shut up. Before he could finish, the Dragon King interrupted him with a shout. Without even looking at him, the Dragon King said with a murderous aura, This is a matter of the Dragon Clan. It should be up to me to decide. Since when is it your turn to criticize? The Golden Dragon had no choice but to swallow his words. He looked at the Dragon King resentfully, then moved his feet and stood beside Tang Zheng. Obviously, he had made his choice. If they fought, he would stand on Tang Zheng's side. This scene angered the Dragon King even more. His eyes were almost spitting fire. For the latest novel updates, please visit the website. Chapter 1596. Both sides stared at each other, neither taking a step back. Instead, it was as if they were fighting each other. Especially the Golden Dragon's small action, it provoked the Dragon King's nerves. Net is almost equal to he was high and mighty and hated the betrayal of other dragons the most. He could not tolerate this at all. But the Golden Dragon's action was undoubtedly a scene he did not want to see the most. The Dragon King slowly raised his hand and pointed at Tang Zheng and the Golden Dragon. His body glowed brightly as he said, The Dragon God's fragment is the wealth of the Dragon Clan. How can it fall into your hands? Hand it over. Before he finished speaking, a ray of golden light shot out from the Dragon King's hand. It was incomparably dazzling and imposing. It covered Tang Zheng and the Golden Dragon from top to bottom, front to back, left to right, covering every corner. Tang Zheng moved his thoughts and recalled the nine-clawed Golden Dragon into the Dragon Seal. With a flash of sword light, the hidden mystic sword was already tightly grasped in his hand. Whoosh! The sword light spun and covered every corner, perfectly blocking the Dragon King's attack. The sacred rune's light kept flashing. Huh! Tang Zheng looked at the sacred rune in surprise. There were no longer 3 sacred runes on the hidden mystic sword. Instead, there were only 2 sacred runes left. Back then, when the sword spirit left the Langya Pavilion, Tang Zheng did not pay attention to it. Now that he summoned the hidden mystic sword, he found that it had undergone a shocking change. The 3 sacred runes turned into 2. The simpler the sacred runes, the more powerful the magic treasure. 2 sacred runes were naturally simpler than 3, so its power was naturally greater. With a thought in his mind, he figured out the mystery behind it. The hidden mystic sword must have absorbed the dragon slayer's soul in the Langia pavilion. Ever since the hidden mystic sword leveled up, it had this effect. It would also benefit from this and increase its grade. This incident was the best proof. The hidden mystic sword's grade had increased again. The beauty of the 2 sacred runes was definitely greater than the 3 sacred runes. It made people want to touch it. Tang Zhang's hand touched the saint pattern. Immediately, the hidden sword seemed to be stimulated. Its light shone even more brightly, even becoming a little violent. It spread in all directions like streaks of lightning. With the hidden sword as the core, it spread in all directions in an instant. Not long after, the huge dragon palace was completely filled with lightning-like sword light. It kept flashing and emitting sword whistling sounds, as if it was cheering and singing. The 3 of them couldn't help but stare blankly. Even Tang Zheng, the master, was deeply shocked by the hidden sword's reaction. This was completely beyond his expectations. The golden dragon's eyes lit up as it looked at Tang Zheng with even more reverence. As expected of master, he was truly amazing. The Dragon King subconsciously stopped his attack and stared at the hidden sword without blinking. There was envy in his eyes. He opened his mouth and exclaimed, "Is this your magic weapon?" Of course, the Dragon King knew what was good for him. He could tell at a glance that the hidden mystic sword was extraordinary. It was more powerful and of a higher grade than any other magic weapon he had ever seen. He was very shocked. This was actually a magic weapon of his own race. It was even better than his own magic weapon. This was simply unreasonable. When Tang Zheng heard this, he came back to his senses. Seeing the Dragon King look at his hidden profound sword in such a strange manner, his eyebrows trembled as he cautiously said, "This is my treasure, so what do you want? Don't tell me you want to take it by force and take it for yourself?" The Dragon King flew into a rage and snorted, "What do you think I, the Dragon King, am? There are countless treasures in the Dragon clan. Why would I covet your magic weapon?" Tang Zheng looked at him suspiciously, half believing half doubtfully said, "Is that so? But why don't I believe you?" He recalled the Dragon King's actions and couldn't help but have a suspicious attitude. The Dragon King even wanted to take the advanced version of the Dragon God's spell for himself. It was impossible for him to see the hidden sword and not do anything. When the Dragon King heard this, he was unable to restrain his anger. He took a deep breath and suppressed his impulse to immediately attack. He said, "The person chooses the magic weapon. The magic weapon also chooses the person. This is especially true for the saint-level magic weapon. Unknowingly, it will make a choice for its owner." The Dragon King looked at Tang Zheng meaningfully and continued, "It is impossible for a weak person to have a very powerful magic weapon. The magic weapon and its owner complement each other. It is impossible for a weak person to have a very heaven-defying magic weapon. He will not have the fortune to enjoy it and will definitely suffer a backlash. He will definitely die." Tang Zheng shivered. He had never heard of this theory. His magic weapons were all upgraded step by step. No one was a heaven-defying existence from the beginning. Could it be because of this that he did not suffer from a backlash? This magic weapon of yours is close to perfection. It is really hard to imagine how it became like this step by step. Especially the sacred pattern on it. It is perfect to the extreme. The Dragon King was not stingy with his praise. The Dragon clan was born with a love for treasures. Naturally, they had trained a pair of fiery eyes. Therefore, the Dragon King would not be wrong. Tang Zheng's gaze subconsciously fell on the hidden sword. 2 sacred patterns. Could it be that it was close to perfection like the Dragon King said? No. He secretly denied it. Since the sacred pattern could be reduced, and the simpler the better, it could definitely be evolved. For example, it could evolve into a sacred pattern. Its power would definitely be stronger. Tang Zheng held the hidden sword in his hand. Seeing that the Dragon King had given up on the next attack, he slightly narrowed his eyes and looked at him. He said, "Aren't you going to attack?" "I'll wait." The Dragon King's expression kept changing. He moved his gaze from the hidden sword to Tang Zheng's face. That tall and straight body and resolute face was like an unsheathed sword. "Where did you come from?" After a while, the Dragon King asked seriously. Tang Zheng slightly frowned and said jokingly, "You finally remembered to ask about my origin. How rare." From the moment they entered the Dragon Palace until the two sides were at loggerheads, the Dragon King did not ask about Tang Zheng's origin. It was as if in his heart, his origin was not important and not worth mentioning. But when he saw the hidden sword, he actually changed his style and asked about Tang Zheng's origin. Therefore, even Tang Zheng himself could not figure it out. The Dragon King said coldly, "The Dragon Clan is a world where the strong are respected. Although you had a fortuitous encounter and even fused with the Dragon God's fragment, it was only a fortuitous encounter. The Dragon Clan does not respect people with fortuitous encounters. They only respect the strong." Tang Zheng thought back to the bumpy road he had walked. He did not exclude the fortuitous encounters, but more than that, it was his hard work and effort. A true strong person will not become strong because of one or two fortuitous encounters. Instead, they are good at using fortuitous encounters to create a truly strong person. Only those who are weak will be lucky and place all their hopes on fortuitous encounters. The Dragon King added. Tang Zheng seemed to have understood the Dragon King's reaction. Chapter 1597. You're giving me a chance. Hearing this, Tang Zheng and the Golden Dragon looked at each other in dismay, not understanding what the Dragon King meant. At the same time, his impression of the Dragon King changed. It seemed that his original understanding was not comprehensive, and the Dragon King was not as simple as he thought. A person was multifaceted, and so was the Dragon King. Especially the king of a clan, he could not be judged by a single standard. The Dragon King looked at him and nodded. "Didn't you want to announce the advanced version of the Dragon God technique and the method to sense the Dragon Slayer in public? Then I'll give you a chance. If you can pass, you will naturally have this chance." "What do you mean?" Tang Zheng asked. The Dragon King said meaningfully, "The dragon race respects the strong, only the strong have more choices. If you can pass the test, then it means that you are strong enough, and at that time, you can naturally do as you wish." Tang Zheng thought for a while, and gradually understood his intentions. The Dragon King had prepared a test for him. If he passed, then everything would be fine. If he did not, then it would not be up to him. The Dragon King was indeed very overbearing, not giving Tang Zheng a chance to refute. But Tang Zheng was not someone who would back down. He was not afraid. He raised his head and said, "I would like to see what kind of test you have." The Dragon King gave an enigmatic smile and said, "Simple. You just have to pass the Dragon Cave." Dragon Cave. Hearing these two words, the Golden Dragon screamed in shock, revealing a look of fear. Tang Zheng looked at the Golden Dragon curiously and asked, "What is the Dragon Cave?" The Dragon King glanced at the Golden Dragon and said, "It seems that he knows far more than you. Then explain it to him." The Golden Dragon swallowed his saliva and said hesitantly, "Master, the Dragon Cave is the most dangerous place in the Dragon Realm. Once you enter, you will die 9 times out of 10. I heard that no dragon has ever walked out alive. So dangerous." Tang Zheng sucked in a breath of cold air. He did not expect the Dragon King's test to be so dangerous. "Wrong." The Dragon King suddenly stretched out his finger and shook it, saying, "You're wrong. It's not that no dragon has ever walked out of the Dragon Cave alive, it's just that there are too few of them. Do you know that every Dragon King came out of the Dragon Cave?" Tang Zheng's pupils constricted as he stared straight at the Dragon King. "You came out of the Dragon Cave?" The Dragon King raised his head proudly. Although he did not answer, his meaning was self-evident. Okay, I promise you. Tang Jing no longer hesitated, and decisively agreed. Master. Hearing this, the golden dragon was shocked and blurted out. His face was full of anxiety. He didn't expect Tang Jing to agree so easily. Tang Jing looked at the golden dragon and nodded slightly. Don't worry, if he can walk out of the dragon cave alive, can't I? The golden dragon swallowed his words. He couldn't deny Tang Jing. If he did, he would be defeated by the Dragon King. However, he was well aware of the dangers of the dragon cave. What if something unexpected happened? He didn't dare to continue thinking about it and could only pray silently. He took a deep breath and warned himself to believe in his master's strength. The Dragon King didn't expect Tang Jing to agree so easily and thought that he would refuse. He secretly nodded and said, although you haven't entered the dragon cave, your courage is commendable. The Dragon King had already determined that Tang Jing would fail, but he also admired his fearless courage. Tang Jing looked at him indifferently and didn't comment. The Dragon King didn't speak to him anymore and walked straight to the entrance of the Dragon Palace. All the conflicts temporarily disappeared. Tang Jing and the Golden Dragon looked at each other and silently followed. Boom! The door opened automatically and the 8 dragon envoys immediately surrounded them. They stared at Tang Jing curiously and found that he was still alive and unharmed. They couldn't help but mutter in their hearts, guessing what had happened just now. However, it was all in vain. They couldn't guess at all. The other dragons also looked at Tang Jing curiously and muttered in their hearts. The Dragon King raised his head and looked down at everyone. He pointed at Tang Jing and said directly, he will enter the dragon cave to accept the test. What? These words were like a heavy bomb, thrown into the crowd, and then set off a perilous wave. Everyone stared blankly at Tang Jing, their eyes filled with an extremely complicated expression. Why would he agree to go to the dragon cave? What was the reason? Didn't he know the dangers of the dragon cave? What was the difference between this and suicide? However, there were also dragons who rejoiced in his misfortune. Among them was the dragon envoy who had a conflict with Tang Jing just now. He looked at him mockingly as if saying that he was dead meat. The golden dragon looked at their reactions and gazes and felt indignant. He pouted and couldn't wait to clear his master's name. However, Tang Jing was calm and collected as if he didn't see it at all. He said, when I come out of the dragon cave, I hope to see all the dragons in the dragon domain gathered together. Then, I will make an announcement in public. Tang Jing's voice was neither fast nor slow, neither light nor heavy. However, in the ears of the other dragons, it was like a thunderclap that attracted their attention. What was he going to announce in public? What agreement did he reach with the Dragon King? Pairs of eyes involuntarily looked at the Dragon King, but the Dragon King ignored them. Instead, he looked at Tang Jing mockingly and said, then you have to come out of the dragon cave first. With so many dragons as witnesses, I hope you don't go back on your words. Otherwise, your prestige as the Dragon King will be questioned. Tang Jing provoked. The Dragon King obviously knew that he couldn't deny this matter in front of everyone. However, that would only happen if Tang Jing came out of the dragon cave. Among the dragons present, only the Dragon King had a deep understanding of the dangers of the dragon cave. He had the most right to speak. Therefore, he sized up Tang Jing from head to toe and sneered in his heart. He didn't need to worry at all. It was all groundless worries. The other dragons were intrigued. They saw Tang Jing looking at them. His voice was like rolling waves that surged and spread in all directions. I will enter the dragon cave today. If I am lucky enough to come out alive, I will bring a huge gift to the dragon clan. When these words came out, all the dragons were shocked and filled with curiosity. The Dragon King sneered and said to himself, although your words have piqued the curiosity of others, you can't pass through the dragon cave. Everything is in vain. In order to avoid slapping your own face in the future, you should speak less. Tang Jing laughed dryly and said, this is my business. You don't need to worry. Where is the dragon cave? Bring me there. The Dragon King soared into the sky. A white cloud flew to his feet. The dragon envoys also soared into the sky. Somersault cloud. Chapter 1598. In the dragon territory, news spread extremely quickly. In no time at all, the news of a dragon tribe entering the dragon cave had spread throughout the entire dragon territory. All the dragon tribe members put down what they were doing and gathered at the dragon cave. To the dragon clan, there was no one who did not know of the dragon cave's illustrious name. As for the location of the dragon cave, it was no secret. Therefore, the dragon clan rushed to the dragon cave from all directions for the sake of witnessing this grand occasion. As for who dared to enter the dragon cave, many of the dragon tribe members were still unsure. However, they were all filled with curiosity. After all, it had been many years since the dragon tribe dared to step into the dragon cave. However, no one had forgotten about the dragon cave. It was the deepest and most profound memory of all the dragon tribe members. All they needed was a catalyst, and these memories would surge out like a tide. Word of mouth spread. Even the young dragon tribe members had a deep understanding of the dangers of the dragon cave. Naturally, they were also very curious about the dragon tribe members who dared to barge into the dragon cave. What was their motive and what was the mystery behind it? White clouds floated in the sky and covered the sun. The sky was completely covered by the white clouds. Even the sunlight could not penetrate the thick layer of clouds. Tang Zheng stood on the somersault cloud and stretched his neck to look. The Dragon King was extremely fast, but the somersault cloud was not slow at all. It was actually able to keep pace with the Dragon King. On the other hand, the other dragon tribe members, including the 8 dragon ambassadors, could not keep up with their speed. They could only be left behind. The golden dragon's eyes were full of splendor when he saw this. Although in his heart, Tang Zheng was already very powerful, he was still a dragon tribe member. Subconsciously, he still thought that there were more powerful figures in the dragon tribe. However, after seeing this scene, he could not help but be skeptical. Tang Zheng's realm was not what it used to be. It was not even something that he could completely guess. The other dragon tribe members were also shocked. The 8 dragon ambassadors had always been confident and proud. In the dragon territory, they were the most powerful figures below the Dragon King. However, they were left behind now. On the other hand, Tang Zheng was relaxed. On the other hand, they kept urging their powers to speed up. However, there was still a big gap between them and Tang Zheng and the Dragon King. This was a merciless suppression. No matter how the dragon envoy struggled, it was useless. He could only accept this reality sadly. Their gazes landed on the somersault cloud. They wondered how his cloud could move so quickly. This was not fair. After all, it was natural for the Dragon King to be faster than them. This was because the Dragon King had inherited the cloud from the previous Dragon King. This cloud had been tempered by the Dragon Kings, so it was natural that no one else could compare to it. In front of them, a thick black cloud appeared. It was dark and oppressive, occupying a large part of the sky. It was even more terrifying than the black clouds before the storm. Above the 9 heavens, not a single ray of sunlight could penetrate this black cloud. It was like a sturdy barrier that blocked everything, forming a system of its own. Something's wrong. This was the first time Tang Zheng had seen this black cloud, but he immediately saw through it. It was definitely not an ordinary black cloud. The golden dragon's eyes also widened as it looked at this scene curiously. It did not know what this black cloud was. The Dragon King stopped beside the black cloud. He looked meaningfully at the somersault cloud that had stopped at the same time as him. His gaze was deep. Along the way, he had made many changes, sometimes fast and sometimes slow. However, the somersault cloud followed him like a shadow and did not fall behind at all. The cloud under his feet was called the imminent ruler, which meant that it was close at hand to describe its speed. Even if it was far away, it was only a short distance away. My imminent ruler was tempered by the previous dragon kings. How can it be comparable to his cloud? How did he get such a powerful cloud from Langia Pavilion? What's so powerful about this cloud? Why does he have so many treasures on him? The Dragon King muttered in his heart, but he did not have an answer. He could only point at the black cloud in front of him and say, "We've arrived at the dragon lair." "This is the dragon lair?" Tang Jing frowned. Even the golden dragon looked at the black cloud in surprise. No matter what, they did not expect the infamous dragon lair to be like this. The Dragon King laughed coldly and said, "What? Don't you dare to go in? It's not too late for you to admit defeat now. You just have to give me what I want." Tang Jing remained calm and collected, his gaze fixed on the top of the dragon cave. From the layers and layers of incomparably thick black clouds, he could feel a mysterious energy being emitted from them. The Dragon King's face stiffened and he did not try to persuade him anymore. Clearly, Tang Jing had made up his mind. "Master, be careful," the golden dragon said worriedly. Then, he walked down the somersault cloud and a white cloud rose under his feet. Tang Jing nodded at him and said casually, "I'll be back soon. Wait for me. As for the other dragons, you can take a good look. I'd like to see what dangers there are in this dragon lair." As soon as he finished speaking, the somersault cloud flew toward the dragon lair. More and more dragons followed behind him. All of them widened their eyes and looked at the sturdy back view. He did not hesitate or refuse. That resolute figure of his made people respect him. Even the dragons who did not know him could not help but think highly of him. They did not know if he would succeed, but his aura had convinced many dragons. The golden dragon looked at the reactions of the other dragons and felt proud of him. However, the Dragon King frowned deeply and started to doubt whether his idea was good or bad. Would he be shooting himself in the foot? No. He immediately rejected this idea. Ridiculous. What kind of place was the dragon lair? There were dragons who did not know the immensity of heaven and earth and wanted to explore it. All of them were destroyed in body and spirit. Of course, this was excluding the Dragon King. The Dragon King knew very well what was in the dragon lair. Back then, he had a narrow escape and almost could not walk out. The dragon lair was getting closer and closer. In Tang Jing's eyes, it was getting bigger and bigger. In the end, it completely occupied his pupils. Even his pupils were reflected in black. "Somersault cloud, it's up to us this time," Tang Jing said softly. Then, with a thought, the somersault cloud suddenly accelerated and rushed into the dragon lair. Darkness, endless darkness. It was comparable to the darkness he saw when he passed through the space door. There was no light at all and it was as dark as day. Suddenly, a ball of gentle white light lit up in the dark world. This was the light of the somersault cloud. This light seemed gentle, but it dispelled the surrounding darkness. Tang Jing could finally see some clues. He widened his eyes and looked carefully. However, he could not see anything useful. There were only dark clouds in the surroundings. Even the somersault cloud seemed to be infected by the dark clouds. They keep saying that there are dangers in the dragon lair. I'd like to see what dangers there are. Chapter 1599. The dragon cave seemed to have no end. It looked like a black cloud, but in reality, it was like another world, a world that was completely dark. Ka-cha! Suddenly, a ray of light appeared in front of him. This ray of light was actually able to pass through the darkness and reach such a far distance. It could be seen how extraordinary it was. "Ha, there's finally something." Tang Jing was secretly delighted, and was on full alert. Ka-cha! Another ray of light flashed, bringing with it a sound. Just now, the light seemed to be far away, but now, it seemed to be close at hand. Huh! Tang Jing was shocked, he could see some clues from this change. Before he could figure it out, the light had already arrived in front of him. Boom! With a loud bang, a bright light descended from the sky. He finally saw it clearly. It was a bolt of lightning as thick as an arm, and it directly landed on his head. He was startled and hurriedly circulated his internal energy. However, the speed of the lightning was too fast for him to react. Therefore, he was not fully prepared and was already struck by lightning. Boom! The blazing high temperature directly evaporated his clothes, leaving him naked. At the same time, his entire body turned charred black, emitting a burnt smell. The lightning's powerful energy seemed to want to evaporate him. Fortunately, he had cultivated the primal chaos Vajra spell and his body had reached an indestructible state, which was why he was able to escape this calamity. The thundercloud beast was also good at releasing lightning, but compared to this bolt of lightning, it was really lacking. This bolt of lightning was even more powerful than the lightning that fell from the sky. His guess was correct. The lightning in the dragon cave was completely different from the lightning in the outside world, and its power was even more incomparable. This caused many of the dragon clan-s who had sworn to barge into the dragon cave to be turned into ashes without even being able to withstand the first bolt of lightning. The dragon scales of the dragon clan were also impenetrable by water and fire, but they were still powerless in the face of this lightning. Tang Jing clenched his teeth, ignoring the pain of his flesh being torn apart. His thoughts flew as he muttered, "I understand, so the danger of the dragon cave is actually this thing." Just as this thought flashed through his mind, his surroundings lit up, and another bolt of lightning flashed. No! This was not a single bolt of lightning, but many bolts of lightning. They swarmed over and sealed off his path of retreat. He took a deep breath and finally had the chance to circulate his power. Hua! Hua! Like a surging river, his true energy flowed into his 8 extraordinary meridians and bones. His wounds and charred skin regained vitality at this moment. However, in the next second, lightning surged in from all directions, arriving unexpectedly and ruthlessly striking him again. Ah! Tang Zheng let out a blood-curdling scream. His entire body stiffened as he floated horizontally into the air. The electric current drilled into his skin and flowed along his meridians. Wherever it passed, his muscles, bones, and even his cells became numb and tingling. This caused him to be momentarily unable to move. Heavenly Book. However, he did not give up. With a thought, the meaning of the supernatural powers in the Heavenly Book was revealed. Waves of energy nourished his body and mind, and he could move again. His first thought was to retreat. His figure flashed as he retreated back the way he came. He had already tasted it, so he definitely did not want to do it a second time. This time, his body almost could not take it. If he did not rely on the chaotic Vajra mantra, he would have been finished. This was the power of the dragon cave. He finally understood why the dragon clan was so fearful. He wasn't sure if there would be more attacks coming, so he decided to retreat for now. However, he had only taken a few steps back when he suddenly braked and stopped because a bolt of lightning had appeared behind him. The dragon cave seemed to have seen through his intentions and did not give him a chance to escape. He had never thought that once he entered the dragon cave, unless he forced his way out, unless his body and soul were destroyed, there was no third way out. As for giving up halfway and escaping, the dragon cave would never allow such a thing to happen. Only now did he realize this, but it was already too late. There was no way for him to escape. He could only watch as the lightning behind him struck him again in the blink of an eye. In that instant, he lost the ability to move. Numerous cracks appeared on his body. They were like ravines that covered the earth. It was as if he was about to shatter into pieces. Ouch! It hurt so much. He opened his mouth wide and let out a dry howl. He desperately circulated his energy to repair his body, but the speed of repair was not faster than the speed of destruction. Therefore, his body remained in this state. Horrifying cracks spread all over his body. It was as if he would shatter into pieces at the slightest touch of a finger. Huff huff. He kept breathing, trying his best to calm himself down. After all, even the chaotic Vajra spell seemed to have reached its limit. If it were to happen again, then he might not be able to withstand it. The more he was worried about something, the more it would happen. A bolt of lightning once again appeared out of thin air. This bolt of lightning was quite different from the previous one. Those bolts of lightning were all silvery white, but this bolt of lightning was actually a little red. It was like a combination of fire and lightning, extremely strange. Tang Zheng's heart trembled as he inwardly cried out, "This lightning is even more powerful and it is endless. I don't know how much more there is, but my body can't take it anymore. Even the so-called 1,000 tempering 100 refinement cannot compare to this." He really didn't want to try the taste of this bolt of lightning, but it had already descended mercilessly. Boom! With a loud sound, Tang Zheng's muscles were dismembered. The red lightning was like a sharp blade, slicing through his muscles and separating his flesh from his bones. When the muscles left his body, they were immediately engulfed by the red lightning and disappeared without a trace. Not long after, Tang Zheng's muscles had almost completely disappeared, peeling off from his bones. If anyone else saw this scene, they would definitely be scared out of their wits. Tang Zheng lowered his head to look at himself. Other than his head and heart, there was really only his bones left. Am I not dead yet? His heart was filled with fear as he turned pale with fright. He turned his eyes and looked around. The world returned to its original darkness and tranquility, and even the red lightning on his body had completely disappeared. The light of the somersault cloud had also disappeared. If not for the fact that his feet were solid, he would have thought that the somersault cloud was gone as well. But without a doubt, the somersault cloud had also been greatly affected. Is that it? No more lightning? He muttered to himself, his voice echoing, but no one answered him. But what should he do? He couldn't possibly go out with this body, right? Wouldn't that scare a group of dragon clan to death? Boom! Before he could think of a way, the sky above his head lit up again. A bolt of lightning appeared out of nowhere, but this time, it was different. It was actually crimson like blood, so red that it made one's hair stand on end. This bolt of lightning must be even more powerful. Chapter 1600. The red lightning arrived unexpectedly. Rumble. The world had completely turned crimson, and even the surrounding darkness was infected by this crimson color. Tang Zheng was completely submerged in this red color, and he couldn't see anything from the outside. Ah! Screams rang out, but they stopped abruptly. However, another sound gradually grew louder, like the beating of a drum. Bang bang bang, it was full of rhythm. Heartbeat, this was actually the sound of a heartbeat and not the sound of a drum. Yes, this was the sound of Qi Yu's heart beating. Now, it was Tang Zheng's heart. It was closely connected to him and had become an indispensable part of him. The previous bolts of lightning had not been able to destroy it, but after encountering this red bolt of lightning, it finally showed a slight reaction. It jumped rapidly, and as it pulsed and contracted, a powerful vitality filled the air. It actually enveloped Tang Zheng and offset the terrifying power of the red bolt of lightning. Whoosh! Tang Zheng finally had a chance to take a deep breath. He looked at his heart in surprise. At the critical moment, it actually resisted. Even the chaotic Vajra spell was not able to completely resist it, and only managed to protect his bones. However, his heart actually managed to survive, and the life force that was released made Tang Zheng's eyes light up. His bones had changed, and some muscles had grown on them. Tang Zheng's eyes lit up. He immediately understood what was going on. The life force in his heart had caused this change, which meant that his lost body could be restored bit by bit. He never thought that the heart would be so useful. Seeing himself grow out bit by bit, it was a very strange feeling. It was as if he had been reborn from the ashes and experienced a new life. He was even a little dazed. The red lightning continued to attack, trying to break through the defense created by the heart. After an unknown period of time. Gotcha! After a loud bang, the defense was finally broken through. The lightning swept over and rushed to the bones and muscles. Tang Jing glared and roared. The heart had given him new hope. He had almost given up hope just now because lightning's unstoppable attack was too strong. Coupled with the unanimous words of the dragon tribe, it gave him the illusion that the dragon cave was really invincible. Therefore, he almost fell into despair. However, after seeing the performance of the heart, he suddenly realized that there was nothing absolute in this world. Moreover, even the Dragon King could walk out of the dragon cave alive. Why couldn't he? Was he really going to lose to the Dragon King? Once they failed, what would happen to the dragon race? Wouldn't the dragon slayers be able to do whatever they want in the Langya Pavilion? Therefore, one thought after another swept over like a tide, causing his confidence to instantly return. Wang! A beam of sword light flashed. The hidden mystic sword moved. The hidden mystic sword fused into Tang Zheng's body. When his body was destroyed, the hidden mystic sword did not suffer any damage. It kept its light and aura hidden. When Tang Zheng regained his confidence, the hidden mystic sword seemed to have sensed its master's mood. It began to hum loudly, as if it was responding to his heart. Whoosh! Whoosh! Beams of sword light soared into the sky and met the crimson lightning head-on. Boom! Heaven and earth trembled, and the black clouds trembled. The lightning seemed to be splitting the darkness and destroying everything. However, Tang Zheng, who was enveloped by the sword light, stood tall like a pine tree. No matter how the wind blew, he remained unmoved. The crimson lightning and the sword light continued to clash. The two forces of energy went back and forth, and it was a joyous battle. Tang Zheng forgot about everything and was completely immersed in the wonderful state of recovering his body. At the same time, in the outside world, countless dragons of all sizes had gathered outside the dragon cave. By word of mouth, everyone understood what was going on. Those who came late shook their heads regretfully. They regretted not being able to see the brave warrior who rushed into the dragon cave courageously. They would not be able to see him again. He would definitely be buried in the dragon cave, just like many fearless dragons in the past. The golden dragon clenched his fists and watched the scene nervously. With his eyesight and experience, he naturally could not see what was going on in the dragon cave. However, with such a huge commotion, he could not help but worry about Tang Zheng. What if he failed? Then wouldn't the dragon clan's hope be completely lost? He subconsciously turned his head to look at the Dragon King and saw that the latter had a relaxed look on his face. Apparently, the Dragon King was certain that Tang Zheng wouldn't be able to come out. In that case, wouldn't the advanced version of the Dragon God technique be lost? The Dragon King seemed to have sensed something. He turned his head to look at the Golden Dragon and said meaningfully, "You also know the advanced version of the Dragon God mantra, right?" Ah! The Golden Dragon was caught off guard and was shocked. How did he guess? The Dragon King's eyes lit up as he clicked his tongue in wonder. Sure enough. The Golden Dragon was enlightened. No wonder he dared to let Tang Zheng enter the dragon cave and was not worried that the advanced version of the Dragon God technique would disappear with Tang Zheng. In fact, the Dragon King had already guessed that Tang Zheng had already passed the advanced version of the Dragon God technique to the Golden Dragon. In other words, the Dragon King could still find out everything from the Golden Dragon. The Golden Dragon felt a chill in his heart. Could it be that this was all part of the Dragon King's scheme? He couldn't be sure. He clenched his teeth and stared at the Dragon King, saying resolutely, "If Master doesn't come out, I won't reveal a single word." The Dragon King did not care. He laughed dryly and said meaningfully, "Is that so?" Hee hee. After he finished speaking, his gaze turned towards the dragon cave. The Golden Dragon's heart started to beat rapidly as he secretly prayed for his master to return safely. Otherwise, he was not sure if he could keep the advanced version of the Dragon God technique. He would not open his mouth, but there were many things that could be done without speaking. He believed that the Dragon King definitely had the strength and means to do so. Tang Zheng wholeheartedly immersed himself in the process of reconstructing his body. With the defense of the hidden mysterious sword, the process of reconstructing his body was extremely smooth. Finally, his body was completely reconstructed. Every inch of his skin was even more perfect than before, filled with the beauty of strength. He raised his palm and looked at it, feeling that his strength had become even stronger. It's a blessing in disguise. The power of the heart is so great. Of course, if it wasn't for the chaotic Vajra spell, I'm afraid that even the bones wouldn't have been able to be preserved. Then, it wouldn't have been easy to reconstruct the body. He thought about it carefully and seemed to have understood something. Wang! A sword cry rang out, and the hidden mysterious sword flew back into his hand. He raised the hidden mysterious sword high up in the air, and the crimson lightning from all directions interweaved together, like a lightning snake, whizzing over. Break! With a loud roar, the sword light rushed out and coincidentally hit the crimson lightning. In the blink of an eye, the sword light was dazzling. Time and space stood still for a few seconds before exploding. Rumble, rumble, rumble. The sword light was invincible. Everything returned to dust, earth returned to earth, and the heavens and earth became peaceful again. Phew! He let out a long breath and looked around. Everything was quiet and returned to darkness, as if everything from before was an illusion. Chapter 1601. Is this the end? Just as this thought flashed through Tang Zheng's mind, an unforeseen event occurred. A huge purple lightning bolt descended from the sky. This lightning bolt was thicker than the previous one. It was as if this was the only lightning bolt left in the world. Nothing else could be compared to it. Tang Zheng widened his eyes and could not help but shout, F***CK. Although there was still some distance between them, he could clearly feel the terrifying power contained in the purple lightning bolt. Rumble. Unknowingly, the Dragon King's expression changed. It was no longer contempt. Instead, it became serious and dignified. He could not help but clench his fists. Hearing the rumble of thunder and the faint purple light, he muttered softly, he actually made it to the last step. Amazing. Amazing. Yes, he had to admit that Tang Zheng was more powerful than he had expected. However, the power of this purple lightning is far greater than other lightning bolts. Back then, my soul almost dissipated. He definitely can't withstand it. Therefore, he doesn't have much time left. The Dragon King clenched his fists even tighter as if to confirm his thoughts. The expressions of the other Dragon Clan-s were also very interesting. Although they had never entered the Dragon Cave before, when they heard the movements inside, as well as the faintly discernible terrifying aura, they could already determine the danger inside. They couldn't help but swallow their saliva, as if they had experienced it themselves. Would there be a miracle? Just like the previous Dragon Kings, he would create a miracle and come out of the Dragon Cave alive. None of the dragons were confident. Even the Golden Dragon's confidence in Tang Zheng was shaken. After all, the danger of the Dragon Cave was beyond his expectations. In fact, this was also beyond Tang Zheng's expectations. He looked up at the sky and saw that the purple lightning bolt was aiming at him. It was about to fall. He glanced at the hidden mystic sword in his hand. Although it was very brave and blocked the red lightning, it might not be able to block the purple lightning. It turned out that he did not have time. In a hurry, he could not prepare an effective counterattack. However, it was different this time. The purple lightning was too powerful, so it took a long time to prepare. He had enough time to judge and prepare a counterattack. Whoosh! He took a deep breath. Somehow, he had a feeling that this was a critical moment. Success or failure would depend on this one move. If he could withstand this tribulation, then victory would be in sight. If he couldn't, then his little life would probably end here. The hidden mystic sword can only be used as a backup plan. With such a huge amount of energy, only the sky-swallowing technique has a chance. He already had an idea in his mind. The giant hands intertwined, and with a crash, a black hole appeared between the two hands. The black hole rapidly expanded, like a bottomless mouth, aiming at the purple lightning in midair. Boom! Thunder pierced through the sky, and this was the only sound left in the dragon cave. Lightning fell from the sky, quickly, ruthlessly, and accurately towards Tang Zheng. Sky swallowing technique. Tang Zheng looked up to the sky and let out a long howl. His voice was also drowned out by the thunder, but his eyes, which were as bright as stars, were not drowned out by the purple lightning. The black hole hovered steadily above his head. It didn't become too big, but instead, it guarded that area. It gave off a grandiose aura of one man guarding the pass, while 10,000 men couldn't get through. The purple lightning was about to hit the black hole. The surrounding black clouds trembled violently and were torn apart, retreating in all directions. However, the black hole remained motionless. Boom! The purple lightning finally hit the black hole. The black hole trembled, becoming more and more intense, but it didn't retreat any distance. It steadily blocked above Tang Zheng, like a giant umbrella for him. Whoosh! A bolt of purple lightning was sucked into the black hole. Tang Zheng's eyes lit up. His judgment was right. The power of the sky-swallowing technique was indeed extraordinary. It could even absorb such a terrifying bolt of lightning. However, the speed at which the sky-swallowing technique absorbed the purple lightning wasn't fast. It was unlike other things, which could be completely absorbed in the blink of an eye. After the purple lightning entered the black hole, Tang Zheng's head moved, and he immediately sensed that there was a change in the heaven realm. In the past, when things entered the heaven realm, they would turn into pure energy, but this purple lightning wasn't like that. A part of it turned into energy, while the other part remained in its original form, turning into electric snakes flashing in the sky. His heart trembled. The power of this purple lightning wasn't small. It would be better if it didn't mess up his heaven realm. Crow's beak. He couldn't wait to slap himself. Because, just as this thought flashed through his mind, the purple lightning struck towards the tree of life. No! He could control every plant and tree in the heaven realm. Naturally, he could also control the purple lightning. When the thought of no flashed through his mind, the rapidly descending purple lightning stopped. It was still a little distance away from the tree of life. In the end, it didn't hit the tree of life. Otherwise, the consequences would be unimaginable. He took a deep breath with lingering fear, and a smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. This was the heaven realm, a world that was under his control. In the heaven realm, the purple lightning couldn't do whatever it wanted. It had to listen to his control. Whoosh! Suddenly, a mysterious power exploded in the heaven realm. His heart trembled. Before he could react, the purple lightning fell again and hit the tree of life. Ah, what's going on? He didn't expect that there would be a careless mistake under his nose, causing the purple lightning to break free from his imprisonment. He hurriedly looked at the tree of life, afraid that it would be destroyed. The tree of life glowed with a purple light. Crackling sounds could be heard from the tree. Streaks of purple lightning slithered across the branches like small snakes. They then drilled into the tree and disappeared without a trace. Tang Zheng's head trembled. He stared blankly at this scene. He didn't understand. It seemed that the purple lightning didn't hurt the tree of life. The tree of life is actually growing. When the purple lightning disappeared, Tang Zheng was surprised to find that the tree of life was growing taller. The trunk, branches, and leaves had all changed. His eyes lit up, and he immediately understood. The purple lightning didn't want to attack the tree of life. It was the tree of life that was actively attracting it. In fact, the last mysterious power came from the tree of life, which caused the purple lightning to break free from his imprisonment. The purple lightning seemed to be tempering the tree of life, allowing it to grow vigorously. I was worried that the tree of life would be destroyed. I was completely wrong. In front of the tree of life, the purple lightning is like a lamb waiting to be slaughtered. It's food for the tree of life. He felt relieved and finally relaxed. He desperately activated the sky-swallowing technique. Chapter 1602. The absorption of the purple lightning by the black hole became smoother and smoother. More and more purple lightning was sucked into the heaven realm. Sister-in-law Soaku said, "Look at the most beautiful woman." A part of it turned into energy, and a part of it continued to be purple lightning, but it was all absorbed by the tree of life. After being tempered by the purple lightning, the tree of life had grown into a towering tree. It was becoming more and more similar to the tree of life in the human world. Gradually, Tang Zheng gave up his control and let the tree of life take charge of everything. Somehow, he sensed something and began to circulate the sky-devouring technique. All of this was as smooth as flowing water. The purple lightning became fewer and fewer. The darkness returned to the dragon cave bit by bit. Tang Zheng had already closed his eyes and was completely immersed in the heaven realm. He knew very well that the purple lightning no longer posed a threat. Instead, the changes in the heaven realm were the main focus of his attention. The sky-swallowing technique was named sky swallowing, and the last level was also sky swallowing. Seeing that it had swallowed all the purple lightning, the tree of life had also completed its growth. His heart skipped a beat, and he seemed to have understood something. Whoosh! A green light spurted out from the tree of life, dyeing the heaven realm green. Wherever the green light passed, the barren land became green. It was actually plants that broke out of the ground and grew magically. There were more and more plants, growing more and more lush and tall. Gradually, it became a small forest, a large forest. The tree of life stood in the center of the forest, towering into the clouds. Tang Zheng felt the vigorous vitality emitted from these plants, making him feel refreshed. In the past, it was not easy for him to create a blade of grass, and it would consume a lot of energy. But at this moment, under the influence of the tree of life, the growth of plants became much easier. There are specializations in every field, and the tree of life is far better than me. He nodded to himself and compared it with the tree of life in the human world. The tree of life in the human world could turn a desert into an oasis. This might be the effect of the tree of life. If I cultivate in the heaven realm, my cultivation speed will definitely be faster than in the human world. He suddenly thought of something and sighed. Although the spiritual energy of heaven and earth had recovered in the human world, it was still inferior to the spiritual energy of the heaven realm when it was first established. The abundance of spiritual energy in the heaven realm was simply unimaginable. There were many kinds of energy, not only the spiritual energy of heaven and earth, but also the power of the stars. Both cultivators and martial artists could live and cultivate here. It would not be like the 100,000 Mountains, which was just a cultivation paradise for martial artists and was like a forbidden area for cultivators. The tree of life had stopped growing, but the changes in the heaven realm were still ongoing. The speed of change was getting faster and faster. Tang Zheng was overwhelmed by the changes, and his emotions were surging. Suddenly, the green light that filled the sky suddenly changed direction. It didn't scatter towards the vast land, but gathered together and rushed towards the sky. What kind of change will this be? He fell into deep thought. Boom! The green light hit the sky, and the sky turned green as well. It was like a huge green dome. The mysterious changes in the sky and the ground changed from inside to outside, from slow to fast. Tang Zheng pondered for a moment. Then, he started to circulate the sky-swallowing technique. Lines of mantras flowed through his mind like floating clouds and flowing water. The black hole above his head didn't disappear. Instead, it kept changing. Sometimes it expanded, sometimes it shrank. The aura it emitted became more and more violent. Whoosh whoosh. The surrounding air was sucked into the black hole. Even the black clouds were no exception. They were sucked into the black hole bit by bit. The size of the dragon cave was unimaginable. Even the Dragon King didn't know how big the dragon cave was. In any case, it was vast and layered with black clouds that didn't pass through. A black cloud was completely sucked into the black hole. In the next second, it appeared in the heaven realm. It floated in the sky, but there was no change. This scene made Tang Jing feel astonished. After all, after other things were sucked into the black hole, they would turn into pure energy and enter the heaven realm. Even a portion of the purple lightning was dissolved. However, this black cloud entered the heaven realm untouched. The dragon cave is indeed not simple. These black clouds are not ordinary clouds either. TSK, interesting, interesting. Tang Zhang's eyes lit up. The power of the sky-swallowing technique grew stronger and stronger. More and more black clouds were sucked into the heaven realm. A vacuum appeared around Tang Zhang, but immediately, black clouds filled the vacuum. The black clouds were sucked into the heaven realm one after another. Black clouds appeared in the sky of the heaven realm, as if a storm was coming. If I can control everything in the heaven realm, then can these black clouds be controlled by me as well? Tang Zheng suddenly thought of something. With a thought, the black cloud immediately moved according to his thoughts. Ha ha ha, it really can be used by me. He was overjoyed, his face beaming with joy. Crack! A lightning snake flashed in the clouds. This was also under Tang Zheng's control. He could clearly feel the energy contained within the lightning. The dragon cave is not as terrifying as the Dragon King said. As long as we can control the dragon cave, it can definitely become a treasure trove, and not a monster that everyone is afraid of. After experiencing the test of the dragon cave, he finally understood the value of the dragon cave. Those lightning bolts could temper his body, and ever since his body was reconstructed, he clearly felt that his body had become stronger. Lightning and Primal Chaos Vajra spell complemented each other and supplemented each other. Primal Chaos Vajra spell could protect his life, so he wouldn't really lose his life under the attack of lightning. However, after his body was destroyed and reconstructed, although the process was painful, it would definitely be a type of rebirth, and his body would become even more sturdy. He had already left the indestructible realm of the Primal Chaos Vajra spell and was creating a new realm that belonged to him. If it was possible for others to accept the refinement of the Dragon Cave's lightning in the future, their bodies would become even stronger and they would benefit greatly. The Dragon King would never have dreamed that I would be able to absorb the Dragon Cave. Since that's the case, I can't let you off so easily. I might as well absorb the entire Dragon Cave into the heaven realm. What you don't want is a huge treasure. Whoosh whoosh. The heaven-swallowing method seemed to have gone crazy as it frantically absorbed the black clouds. More and more black clouds in the Dragon Cave moved inwards and disappeared into the black hole. This caused the Dragon Cave to seem as if it had collapsed and actually shrunk inwards. Dragon Clan stood outside the Dragon Cave. After the lightning disappeared, everything became calm. They all revealed looks of regret and whispered to each other. Another one who isn't afraid of death. But what's the use? Isn't it the same as before, with his soul scattered? Yeah, if it was that easy to get out of the Dragon Cave, then everyone would have gone in. Even a fool would know that there would be gains in the Dragon Cave and that the body would be tempered to the extreme. The Dragon Clan knew very well that every Dragon Clan that walked out of the Dragon Cave would become the next Dragon King. The Dragon Clan respected the strong, so who wouldn't want to become the Dragon King? However, until now, no Dragon Clan dared to step into the Dragon Cave. They knew their own limits. The Dragon King finally heaved a sigh of relief. He retracted his gaze from the Dragon Cave and there was no movement. He was very sure that Tang Zheng had died under the lightning. Chapter 1603. The Dragon King glared at the Golden Dragon aggressively. The Golden Dragon's heart skipped a beat as he took a step back subconsciously. His face was pale as he said in a panic, "Dragon King, I won't tell you if Master doesn't tell you." The Dragon King's lips curled into a smile as he said proudly, "As expected, I didn't guess wrongly. You know everything. He actually told you everything." The Golden Dragon was stunned as he shook his head hurriedly. I don't know. Ha ha ha, too late. The Dragon King laughed maniacally. Suddenly, his smile disappeared as he said in a deep voice, "You're a member of the dragon race. If you dare to disobey my orders, you'll be betraying the dragon race. Do you know that?" The golden dragon hesitated with a hesitant expression. The other dragons did not understand what the Dragon King wanted, but seeing how the golden dragon dared to openly disobey the Dragon King's orders, they were all furious and reprimanded him loudly. The golden dragon became the target of public criticism. His will wavered as his eyes were filled with hesitation. The Dragon King looked at the golden dragon proudly, certain that he would not be able to withstand this pressure. No dragon would be able to withstand this pressure and would definitely submit. Of course, Tang Zhang was an exception. He was an anomaly. The Dragon King did not have time to think as he pressed on. The golden dragon took a few more steps back. Finally, he stopped and raised his head. There was no panic in his eyes. Instead, he calmed down and said firmly, "Dragon King, no matter what excuse you use to force me, I will never tell you against my master's wishes." "Then are you betraying the dragon race?" the Dragon King asked. "If that's the case, then I have no other choice." The golden dragon no longer retreated and said firmly. The Dragon King was furious. "Good, very good. You actually betrayed the dragon race for him. Do you know what this means? What punishment will you suffer?" "I know. Even if I have to pay with my life, I have no regrets. That's because my life was given to me by Master. If not for him, I would still be suppressed by Yu Jing." The golden dragon seemed to have sunk into his memories, but his will was even firmer. Seeing the golden dragon's reaction, the other dragons widened their eyes in shock. The Dragon King had always been high and mighty. No dragon had ever dared to disobey him like this, especially in front of everyone. Everyone looked at each other in dismay, unable to believe what they were seeing. Who was he? Where did he come from? Since when did such a daring anomaly appear in the dragon race? The Dragon King was furious, but he couldn't help but sigh. Birds of a feather flocked together. He originally thought that he could convince the golden dragon with just a few words, but he didn't expect that the golden dragon would dare to refute him in public. Actually, the Dragon King did not need to use such a method. However, regarding the advanced version of the Dragon God mantra and the ability to sense the Dragon Slayer, this was a matter of great importance. He had to take it seriously. Thus, he had no choice but to use this kind of method to force his own clansmen. This wasn't very honorable, but for the sake of the Dragon Clan's future, he had to do this. Tang Zhang was already dead, and the Dragon King would never allow these two supernatural powers to be hidden. They had to be in his hands so that he could be prepared to deal with the Dragon Slayers. The Dragon King lowered his head slightly and looked down at the golden dragon. He said in an imposing manner, "Your master is already dead. It seems that you are going to follow in his footsteps. Master definitely won't die." The golden dragon insisted. "Master will create miracles. He won't die. He's definitely still alive." "Miracle?" The Dragon King curled his lips in disdain. "I'd like to see what kind of miracle there is." The golden dragon was speechless. He didn't know what kind of miracle there would be. However, there was no movement in the dragon cave. This probably meant that Tang Zhang's fate was more likely than not. The golden dragon didn't dare to think too much. "Dragon King, there seems to be a change in the dragon cave." Suddenly, a dragon envoy turned pale with fright and stared straight at the dragon cave. "What nonsense are you talking about? How could there be a change in the dragon cave?" The Dragon King was immersed in the joy of victory. When he heard this, it was especially ear-piercing. He frowned in displeasure. "Dragon King, it's true." The dragon envoy's voice didn't weaken at all. Instead, there was a strong sense of uneasiness in his tone. The Dragon King finally turned his head slowly and looked towards the dragon cave. The other dragons also turned their heads and looked at the dragon cave in surprise. Hiss! The dragons all sucked in cold air and looked at the dragon cave in disbelief. The air seemed to have frozen and time seemed to have stopped. The golden dragon frowned. He didn't know what was going on. He turned around curiously and faced the dragon cave. Immediately, his eyes widened and his breathing quickened. All the dragons' breathing quickened. Even the Dragon King was no exception. His expression was extremely interesting. He opened his mouth and muttered to himself in disbelief, "Why did the dragon cave become smaller?" Since ancient times, the size of the dragon cave had never changed. At least, there were no changes visible to the naked eye. However, at this moment, the dragon cave had become smaller and could be seen with the naked eye. The Dragon King swallowed his saliva and secretly exclaimed, "Why is this happening?" Before all the dragons could figure out what was going on, the dragon cave suddenly shrank again. This happened in the blink of an eye. The change in the dragon cave caught everyone off guard. This. All the dragons couldn't describe their current feelings. It was as if their brains had crashed. The dragon cave shrank once again. The originally vast dragon cave had shrunk by a third. Only the dragon clan knew how terrifying this was. Why is this happening? Finally, the Dragon King couldn't help but roar. However, no dragon could answer his question. After all, he was the king of a clan. If even he couldn't answer, others naturally wouldn't know the answer. The golden dragon raised his eyebrows and realized something. He blurted out, "Master, it must be Master." "Ha ha ha, I knew Master would create miracles. How could he die? He definitely won't die." The golden dragon was elated and almost danced with joy. "It's him." When the Dragon King heard this, his heart trembled. Could it really be that guy? If it wasn't him, who else had the ability to make the dragon cave smaller? However, when the Dragon King entered the dragon cave, he didn't make the dragon cave change like this. What ability did that guy have to do this? What impact would this have on the dragon cave? What benefits would that guy gain from this? The Dragon King couldn't figure it out. He really wanted to rush in and investigate, but when he thought of the terror of the dragon cave, he stopped. The shock in the hearts of all the dragons could be imagined. They stared at the dragon cave with burning eyes, not knowing what would happen next. However, all the dragons agreed with the golden dragon's words. This definitely had something to do with Tang Zheng. Immediately, their interest in Tang Zheng increased. Just which rock did he jump out from? He actually caused such a huge change in the dragon cave. To read the latest novel, please visit the website. You're tuning into the Romantic Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.